it to me. And then I sent it to the criminal divisions while I was in jail. I did the W-4 process on the charges in Arkansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma. I never received anything back from Internal Revenue Services. So, and I had noticed Janet Yellen with the Form 56.
Had you run the QSIP numbers on your cases?
Yes, I did. And I turned that in as evidence.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
I got my QSIP numbers. Yeah, Beta 7 series broker while I was in jail. I got the evidence, like, here's the QSIP numbers, you know. I stood in court, like, he could not get jurisdiction over me. You know, who is the defendant? Who are you talking?
They're after y'all hard for some reason, and I don't know if it's because y'all live in BFE where there's not many people around, or somebody has a personal vendetta, because when that's done out here, even in North Carolina, Floyd, hey, and Floyd, remember, you get a free goat with every visit to that brain doctor.
Man, I'm gonna, when I get my goat, his name is Scape.
A few times we've done that here, and recently a friend in Pennsylvania, the CPS workers were about to shat on themselves. Is that good for live stream shat?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we can get.
They were dropping papers, fumbling, couldn't look the girl in the eye. They were panicking like crazy. The boss comes in, the head of Health and Human Services, and is even worse than the worker is. So yes, we do have them, and I God, my heart went out to you yesterday hearing all that. I just had to deal with the monetary side of it and them ripping up my family, which is horrible, I know. But oh my God, when I was hearing your story, I was like, holy shit, she started studying years ago. She knows most of this. She might not know about these contracts we're going to talk about, and that does tie in a lot of stuff in different ways to trip them up, catch them, bait them like an alligator.
Yeah, and with that, everybody, welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. It's a PM's edition special, human trafficking. I want to welcome my guest from yesterday, Kayla Nicole Fitz, and the gentleman drinking in the purple cup. That is not Chris Hauser, everybody, so don't get confused.
I self-identify as a winner, thank you.
Right. This is one of my viewers. He has been reaching out to me for a couple days, and so we finally connected, and we're going to put 2 and 2 together, and we're going to get 4. And this is for Kayla and her family. So we're going to put them back together. All right. So introduce yourself, please, Sir John Vincent. And Kayla, will get you 2, and then we'll get John to dive right in. I have everything queued up so we can get right into the documents whenever you'd like, John. So just let me know.
As I'm willing to bet, and I don't wager a whole lot because I only go on things that I know are true. I bet both of you at one point in your life decided there's a God somewhere. Let me check this Bible out a little bit here and there. And the minute, well, I can't say the minute, it was a course of months that I read the Bible from cover to cover and said, wait a minute, this stuff makes sense. Little did I know back then that it's also a good banker's manual. Little did I know back then, at just using it as a moral guide, I said, this makes sense. I've got to get divorced because this is not working out good. It's not going to be good for anybody. I've got to do it. And about the minute I did that and just decided to turn my life over to try and do things the right way instead of my haphazard way.
Right.
I know we're live, every effing thing in the world rained down on me. I was starting a cutting board business. I sold like 25,000 custom cutting boards at the time. I had a lot of stuff going on, building things up, and everything you could possibly think of came in my direction. And I'm pretty sure that happened to you and you when you decided to do the right thing. Am I correct?
Oof, it's unbelievable. That's all I can say. It's unbelievable. My
Anyway,
life every day of every minute is unbelievable. It's just, incredible. I can't believe it. Now I don't even have to leave home. I don't have to go anywhere. I just sit right here in this chair and just it's
man, well, you see, Kayla did. She had to leave home, but you know, you had it easy, Floyd. 14 years, you know.
well, I had to work for it, but I got here.
So anyway, in brief, I went through 10 years of absolute hell. I finally got them off my ass. Not by anything I did, but by things I was studying, knowing I was getting ready to hit them for securities fraud. And that's where I'm at right now. And my fiance will probably step in a few minutes. She's a 25-year paralegal out of Orleans Parish.
Oh, shit.
Where we grew up at. Floyd's
really?
probably I-10 runs right through there. St. Charles Parish, Destrehan.
Oh yeah, I've been to the lower 9th Ward 3:30 in the morning trying to buy crack on Monday morning because it was Sunday night.
Floyd, you ever see the A-frame bridge just on River Road just before you hit Orleans Parish?
I have no idea. I just walked out. Yeah, I'd bought all the blow from the dealer in the back room, of the men's bathroom. Yeah, at 3:30 in the morning in a men's gay bar because that was the only thing that was open and available to get drugs. And then I went out on the street, caught a cab, and said, "Hey, bro, I need to buy some crack. We can go." He's like, he looked at me, goes, he looks, he got that puzzle like, white boy want to go buy crack this time of night? What the hell's going on here? Yeah. So he goes, "Man, I know a couple of places." So we go a couple of places and we strike out. And I go, "Bro, you got to know somewhere." He goes, "Man, there's a place, but you don't want to go there." I go, "Yeah, we're going there."
Damn.
We're going right now. What's it going to cost? Let's go.
Kayla, take a note. If you're ever down that way and they mention a woman and not a vessel that's named the Delta Queen, take off in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I've had fun in New Orleans. Yeah. I ran into this guy. I'll show you how honorable I am. I ran into this melanated kid. He came up to me. He goes, "Hey man, I know where you got your shoes at." I looked at him. I went, "What?" And I looked down at my shoes and I'm like, "Man, no way this dude knows where I got these shoes." I go, and I say, "Well, how much?" He goes, $20. I'm like, $20. Dude goes, "On your feet." Bastard. $20. Have a nice day. You got me.
All night long out there. Yep.
Yeah.
You were there.
New Orleans. Yeah, yep. New Orleans is. I actually have a Voodoo Lounge shirt.
Sweet. It's a different world.
Yeah, that's enough of my story. So let's
Kayla's
dive right into
there.
What
Kayla's out there clean living and doing all kind of nice, wonderful stuff. And she's probably like, "Am I sure to be on the phone line with these bastards?"
Yeah. She knows I'm a different person. So Kayla, jump on here and tell everybody who you are and welcome them to your family. And let's get you some help.
Well, I was just gonna sit tight and listen to John over here. He sounds he's got some good stuff. I need to know.
Yeah, I'm pissed.
Yeah, we're getting to crank it up. We have 29 pages of documents.
I'm really excited. I'm ready to just eat it up. I'm ready to get this going. So like I said, I've done everything. I hit a brick. I did have the Department of Justice accept a tort claim. Just recently, I filed it back in October while I was in jail, and they sent me which is like my 4th tort claim that I filed. So I finally got some kind of notice from it. But you went?
No, I'm sorry. I was calling my fiance. She's a paralegal for 25 years, who's now learning to see things from our side of it. And she's probably got some good input as we as she listens and goes through this.
You're bringing her on our side, right? You're bringing her to this side.
Yeah. Her eyes are opening big now.
I bet. Yeah, it's definitely the exact opposite of everything we ever thought was right. When you read the Bible, like you said, and it's just everything that goes on is the exact opposite of how we should be living.
The exact damn opposite. It is.
Exactly.
As above is below.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And it's the opposite side of those court ledgers that they keep. And that's what kind of we're going to touch on to this evening.
That's good. I want to see those.
See those?
I want to see.
Okay, hang on here. Let me get somewhere real quick for you guys. And all Kayla's information is going to be in the description below. It's in the video we did yesterday, which the link will be in the description below. It's not currently right now. And I built something for Kayla and the gals yesterday. And this is what it is right here. And this is a Telegram group. It's called Stop Human Trafficking. And in February 15th, 2023, I was totally blown away that this name was still available on Telegram, to be honest with you. So I had originally named it CRIST, Child Recovery Investigation Support Team. And I posted it over in another one of my groups, and another member over there recommended that I put Child Human Recovery Investigation Support Team. So that's what it became, but it's actually called Stop Human Trafficking. And I created this to empower the powerless who have offspring, spouses, and loved ones stolen by the system under duress, threats, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual armed assaults. We are here to stop human trafficking in honor, good faith, and clean hands. Fearless Floyd. This is my gift to all you women out there who are fighting to get your kids back, who have fought the good fight, won, lost, just come up a draw, and still fighting. So you can see, right? Thanks, girls. So, because these are my heroes, these women out here fighting to get their kids back, who are helping other women fight to get their kids back. Please join this group. Support these people. We're going to put more information. All these documents we're going over tonight, they will be in this group so you can access it. So please come and join us there. And let's all work together to stop all human trafficking. It doesn't matter if it's our children, our spouses. This goes worldwide into the whole child trafficking, sex trafficking, slave trading, because it's still going on to this day.
Yes.
You know, come hang out with us. Yeah, absolutely. So that's my gift to y'all. So it's theirs to run. They can do whatever they want with it. So you can post anything. You can open up chats. You can post videos. 4 gigabytes of information you can put on there at one time.
Wow, that's a lot.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can put all your YouTube videos on there. Absolutely.
Floyd, you're 1 in a billion.
That's right.
Thank you for that. You know, it's not me.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine the hell you went through. Mine was mostly monetary, and my family, which one of my girls just came in from work, and she's with me now and not the greedy partner. So that says a little something. But yeah, you're 1 in a billion, brother, and
well,
you are too, Kaylin.
Thank you so much, and so are you. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Once your mind is set to take them down,
it is.
That's all you focus on. You can't sleep good. You can't rest good until you think, I've done enough for the day. And I know both of y'all feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm exhausted. By 10 o'clock, I'm brain dead. I tell people, if you talk to me after 10 o'clock, I'm probably not going to remember 90% of the conversation. I'm sorry. And I tell them that, but they keep talking to me anyway. So.
It's his voice. It's his voices, Floyd. It's his voice.
Yeah, I'm trying to take notes too, and I can't even read my notes. Thank God I have help. So I'm good with that. Thank you for coming on the show, both of you. Thank you, everybody, for watching and who's going to watch this in the future. Please like this. This isn't a popularity contest for me. I don't care how many viewers I have. I don't care how many subscribers. That's not what this is about. This is about, reuniting families man. And I went through your website today, Kayla, and I'm sorry, I'm getting tears in my eyes because I saw how beautiful your family was. That schoolroom, was that schoolroom in your house? That's a homeschool, right?
Yeah. We were teaching them Hebrew and Aramaic and, music, piano, guitar, mandolin. I mean, of course, everything. It was biblical, and then when they took them, there's even notes that says that these are the most well-mannered babies that we've ever come across. And then they just start telling me how they're declining. My youngest won't speak, and they're giving them psychotropic drugs and things. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. When that happened, I was just like sending out papers like a mad woman. I'm like, I know I can't do anything physically. God, give me the words to say to overcome these people. And I just ask questions. Where is your delegation of authority to take what I create, what was given to me by my God, and give to others for pecuniary gains? Like that is, and where do you get off making legal and medical determinations without my authority, consent, a contract? We had never had a contract from the beginning. So when you go to jail, you make a contract immediately. I never made a contract, never signed it. You don't sign it. You don't ever do that. So I left it open to come back at them. They had no authority to do any of these things to us. So, because we never gave our consent. That's in Libra codes. International laws say that they must have your consent. So, yeah, I miss them so much every day.
He's been studying Floyd.
I read everything. I don't care what it is. I read it. I'd already known because before all of this, like 12 years ago, I was into real estate and I realized how important contracts were then, and then, so when they hit me with these contracts, I'm like, whoa, I'm going to read it. They wanted me to just sign it and give it, no, I'm not putting my name on that. No way. So they were pissed off. They were really pissed off. And you asked, they have 5 of them, 5 of my creations. 2 of them did not have socials, birth certificates, nothing. They created these securities for them. And then now they have adopted them out a month after they put us in jail now. Oh my gosh, there's my Addie. That's my Kaden.
Look, this is the schoolhouse. Okay, and there's another picture of it, and this is in the house, and this is, look at all the books.
Yeah, there's another picture of our schoolroom. Everywhere we went, we had a schoolroom for them. So, we just
look at home. Let me back up there.
Yeah, that was their schoolroom. But it's important. Knowledge is power. We were teaching our babies all of this. Books of the Bible.
Yeah, books of the Bible. They could identify birds by sight and by sound. Grass, foliage. Of course, animals.
They could tell you what plants did what beneficially, like medically, and the most important thing. I don't know if you see that picture, but your sword of truth, your helmet of righteousness. That was the most important thing. Was what they learned, what edify their mind, So we always made sure we had a schoolhouse.
The only thing I can think, Kayla, is why you're a target is because your life was too pure. And this is a satanic attack on the pureness of your family. Because, man, I'm telling you guys, y'all have to go check her out. Check out her website. This girl, her family, they did everything perfect.
She decided to do the right thing. And
God put it on my heart a long time ago when I found out oh my gosh, I signed as an informant on this birth certificate. Oh my gosh, the social security number is an account. Oh my gosh.
Explain to people what that is, because there's mothers who are going to watch this that see CPS, and tell them what the informant is, what the mothers do unknowingly.
When they come in there, see, that's why my oldest two were at the hospital and I didn't know anything at that time. I felt like it was wrong, you know, but then my other three, we had free and clear with me and my husband. And it was the most beautiful experience. When you have a baby, you're not supposed to be in a hospital. Everything comes natural. The doctors try to stress you out and worry you. Oh, there's a tear in your placenta. Oh, this and this and this, or you need Pitocin. No, your body goes naturally. God will guide you. Do not be scared. Like the hospitals are just recent, like 70 to 100 years ago. You know, the foundlings, if you don't know what a foundling is, it's very important that you go find out what a foundling is, what a ward of the state is, an informant. These are very important definitions. Definitions are very, very important. You know, your words bring life or death. So
Hang on, John.
You're signing as an informant. You're signing a child, which is not your creation. You are a creator. And God has given you those as gifts. They're not a child. You're not a mother. Those are legal terms on a birth certificate.
Name of informant?
Yes. And then you have the two witnesses, the sign, the nurse and the vital statistics, and you know, your birthday. That's the day of the birth certificate.
Gator hunter. I'm sorry, Kayla. We didn't mean to interrupt. I was just I was pointing out to the audience name of informant on my birth certificate, and then I pointed out to Floyd that they happen to catch hold of somebody who's used to running trap lines.
That gator tail sounds good right now.
Right. This is a picture of your midwife, right?
Yes. Yes, that's our midwife. And we had a Mennonite woman help deliver our Adeline right there. That was my first, natural home, everything. So she's a miracle baby too. And I didn't do like sonograms or anything with my youngest two either. I just thank God for what he was giving me, and we just learned so much over the years and had just such a beautiful life. I miss them so much. And, like I said, they adopted them out, which I know it's not them, it's these securities. And then they made double securities and changed their calling in these securities. So they're divvying out, it's just securities fraud. They're taking out of two separate accounts right now. They're making so much money from my babies. That is human trafficking. That is slavery. People think slavery was abolished, but it wasn't. It was just, it's a trick,
Yeah, they just renamed it and moved it over.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Look over here. Look over here. Look what we did. Look what we did. Look what we did. Y'all sign that over there.
That's right.
Done? That's right. Y'all keep looking. Y'all get an argument. Get there real. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much how it works. All right, let's dive into this. We're going to get into this first document. Let me find out where it's at. There it is. Now I got to share.
And I just want to say
Let's try that again.
Oh.
U.S. Code, you're an officer, 19 U.S. Code 810. 19 U.S. Code 810. And where it says the zone, it means zone improvement code,
Hang on,
aka zip code. So every time you use that, you're assumed to be an officer, agent, or employee of the government. You already know that, but people that might listen, if
that's
Floyd,
great.
Yeah,
Floyd,
put it back up for him. Put it back up, John. There you go. 19 USC United States Code 810 small o. That's Title 19 United States Code 81 little o. Officer, agent, employee.
And where it says in the federal zone, that means that refers to zip code, zone improvement code, which you guys already know that, but a lot of people who might or might not, hopefully nobody ever listens to this, but we'll rephrase it in better ways. They're part of that when they use the zip code. They're an officer, an agent, or an employee, and therefore they're tied in the CPS contracts. They're tied into the child support contracts, and they have their prima facie evidence because they have this. And that's all they operate on is prima facie evidence. When you ask them for the real evidence, they run like hell. But if you don't ask them for it, they just presume and assume everything's good.
Right.
Those 12 presumptions of court, I'm sure y'all are familiar with.
Right. Yeah, I did a series of videos on them. They're rebuttal to the 12 presumptions. They're in my lists. Okay, tell us what we're looking at here.
You are looking at what I easily con the head of Health and Human Services out here. And it's okay to use his name and my name on this. I don't care. When I learned that this was all done under contract, after my house, the same one I'm still sitting in, went into repossession. It went into all kind of mayhem through this divorce because I had a greedy ex-wife. I affectionately call her the barnacle. You like that one? She just wanted
after Valentine's Day, guys.
That's right. Just wait to see what a floret of barnacles look like. She heard that if you get these other people involved, they'll help you and you can get a few dollars more during your divorce. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I just told you I'd give you half of everything, which isn't even paid for, but I'll give you half. Oh, no. We got to get CPS. We got to get child support involved. And so now I went from making what's to most people normal money. Hey, here's my oldest daughter right here. Just walked into the room. Come say hey.
Hi.
Say hey.
We're doing text.
You're live across the world right now.
Oh, there she is.
Hi.
At least wave your hand.
Hi.
Love you, kid.
Oh.
Get some rest.
Memorial.
So, the Barnacles plans didn't work out all that well. Anyway, I started digging into this because I went from, and y'all have probably seen this, I'm sure, people that have a normal, somewhat comfortable life. They have these few bills to pay and this and that, and their job keeps them just a little bit more than covered for that. So they think that, going to work every day and coming home and kicking back and watching Al Bundy or something. That's before your time, Kayla, but I know it's in your time. That's the life. But it's not. And so there I was struggling. I'm trying to do the right thing. And now these bastards want to step in and take like 30% of what I make. And I'm like, wait a minute. My girls never got that much. I give them 10% or so on average, or if there's an emergency here, there more, but they would have just take that right out of my paycheck before I did anything. And I'm thinking, wow. Hey, attorney in the courtroom, you're fired, buddy. I could figure out something better than this.
Right.
So it took me a while, but I did. Have I got my full relief from everything yet? No. Am I hunting them down, and are they scared of securities fraud? Yes. And the document you're looking at is required by 4D Services, Title IV, which is not positive law. They're required for all the vendors. They're vendors. CPS is a vendor. Child support is a vendor. This particular company that you see up there, Veritas Inc., would probably really much rather cut us a check with a lot of zeros on it right now than for this to be exposed.
Yeah.
Hey, ruin my life, I'm going to ruin yours. It's just the way it works. It's in Title 4D. When you read through it, they're required to have, and they use terminology that's different. They call them vendors. They say that this contract must be in place. This must be in place. As you read through it, everybody's got to have, on the other side, has to have these contracts. The police department has them. The judge has them.
Oh.
Yeah. I saw a light bulb just then.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a Beavis and Butthead light bulb. It was a bright one.
Yes.
The courthouse has one. They literally lease out the courthouse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The sheriff's department or local police, depending on where you're at, has one of these.
Wow.
This particular contract, I think, is just for the collection agency, the one that's called Child Support Office. In your case, it would be under Health and Human Services, their neighbor, CPS. They got to have these contracts by federal. I can't say law because it's not positive law, but under 4D, they have to have these. What is it, Floyd? I think I sent you. It's 303.12 contracts. Give me 1 second. I'll look it up. This old school stuff for me. I've gotten into the securities part of it. So this part's old school for me. 45. Write this down. 45 CFR 302.12. Now, the language when you read that looks different. But when you see the contract, you understand that's what they're talking about. And all of those entities have to have it, which means they're only contracted entities. None of it is a real court case.
Right.
They rented the courtroom to make it look that way. Color of law, obviously. I know you're familiar with that. It's horrible. People think they're sitting in a real courtroom and they're sitting in Walmart's, McDonald's, you ordered the wrong stuff center, and they don't know any better. And when they realize their own power, they say, wait a minute. If I'm not tied in with you guys with my marriage license, and I'm not tied in with you guys with my voter registration, all I'm doing is agreeing to everything. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And of course, they look forceful and powerful. They have a gavel. And Stephanie will probably be in here in a minute. My girl just got in from work, and Steph will probably be in here. She's worked these cases, not strictly that. She's done tons of stuff on the paralegal side. She's worked for judges. She's worked for prosecutors. She's worked for child support. Oh, wait a minute. Child support, honey, in Louisiana. Did y'all get a separate paycheck? Yeah, they made me keep track of my hours separately when I worked for child support. You know why? Because it's all contract. It's not really judicial stuff.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. And you can FOIA these, or you could just do like I did, and I went to the head of Health and Human Services and said, hey, guy, look, I got this court case that's been going on for years. My CPA is on my ass. Some of this stuff is tax deductible. Some of it's not. most of your stuff isn't, Mr. Health and Human Resources guy, whose name is posted, and he's actually not a bad guy. He's just dumb as a box of rocks. Could you send me those contracts y'all have with Veritas Incorporated that you act as the child support enforcement agency? I'll get on that. Just send me an email requesting it to remind me. Thanks, buddy. Bling.
That's awesome. Our director will not talk to me because I have noticed her several times saying, you know, like, you have my property and I want it back. A lot of people have blocked me now. They've blocked my registered mail, my certified mail, any way I'm trying to contact them, they just block me because I have known from the very beginning that they have no authority to. So I made these flyers.
Right.
I made flyers around my town that said this
you
is
scared them
a for-profit corporation. And I put their Duns and Bradstreet number on it and their cage code. And I handed it out and I placed it all around the town, all around 2 separate counties. Oh, they put in an order for protection or whatever, which is just fake shit. But yeah, they do not like me. They know I know what's going on. So I'm definitely gonna FOIA this. This is amazing.
Yeah, you can FOIA it. That's clearly written. I can't bring it up right now because I'm on like beer number 2 right now. And 15 hours of being awake and working. But yes, you can FOIA that stuff. And you can follow up if they don't follow the FOIA, which they'll, according to what you've told me already, they'll try and beat that down. However, since you got the QSIP and you can prove they've already been trading on those accounts, did you get in touch with the IRS and ask them?
I sent Janet Yellen the copies of the QSIPs and my affirmation in support of commercial discharge, because in Oklahoma, when they would give me a presentment, they wouldn't give it to me, but they'd post it online. So I'd have them print it off and I would endorse it, and I sent it back and they've accepted the payment, you know? So I sent that to Janet Yellen, and I was going to send her a certificate. If you look up I can't remember what it is right now, but she can step in at any moment, you know, and do a certificate of discharge on these accounts.
Right.
Yeah. And so that was my next move, was going to go straight to her and be like, look, I know you've received my mail, and I'm just trying to settle these accounts. That's all they are, you know, and get my property back. So
what we've done out here is ask for the W-9, the EIN, and then and then turn in the 3949. Did you do that?
I didn't send it to Janet Yellen, but I had sent it to the Ogden, Utah, and then criminal investigative divisions of the district. Do you think I should send it to Janet Yellen, the 3949A? Because I did a form 56 to her as fiduciary over the accounts.
No, I'd just stick with the IRS, just straight to the IRS, 3949. That's when they started peeing in their pants out this way. It's almost like somebody's blocking all of your stuff. I know you know that. I don't know if Floyd realizes that. I'm trying to pinpoint who. Because the IRS loves to collect on these people.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, what in the world? Or maybe I just didn't fill it out right, or I'm going back and I'm redoing it. So I'm redoing the 3949A right now. I've got them all out, ready to go.
Myself, I would go that way and make sure, and then check out what's IRS procedure on if an agent doesn't fulfill his duties, who do I go to?
Okay.
You know, because they're private too. They're just based out of Puerto Rico. I mean,
did you watch the body cam footage of the officer going through the hotel room when he arrested us?
I was listening. I was actually dropping off stops, running out the FedEx truck and get back in the truck and going, oh my fucking God, what the hell? This is, oh my God, no.
In his body cam footage, he goes to my mail and says, a package from Puerto Rico. Oh yeah, this girl's obviously fighting a battle with IRS. And I'm not fighting a battle. I'm in compliance with them.
Yeah, you're.
Yeah,
But-
they were so stupid. They just left all my belongings, all my mail, all my bonds, indemnity bonds, secured bonds, social security cards that are endorsed, ready to go to the security administration, like destroyed everything on camera. So I posted it to the YouTube. There's a 10-minute video of all the stuff that they just destroyed from the hotel room. Like, do you realize you just said there's a package in here from Puerto Rico?
Who in the hell have y'all had contracts or contacts with that would be able to control things like this?
Okay, so I'm thinking we lived in an area called Harrison, Arkansas for a little bit. And I made these flyers about the LGBTQ having a Sunday social in the park. And it was like a little bitty event in the newspaper, right? I think this is when it all started. And I had made a flyer, I made it bigger, and I just passed them around. And I said, hey, I just want everybody to know that this is happening on this day. If you don't want to see this or your children to see this, don't go to the park on this day. And then the Zinc, Arkansas is where the capital for the KKK is, Thomas Robb and them. And they were trying to like get me to go to their church and stuff. And I didn't take them up on their offer. And yeah, I just think that I really like pissed people off there. I
because
really think I created a personal vendetta, and these people are kind of behind the scenes. That's just my guess. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't want to say that, but that's really when all this shit started.
I want to concur because the KKK is one of the famous groups for playing like they like to do this, but meanwhile they're really doing this over here, the same exact thing they're saying they don't like it. And
yeah,
good chance of that. I think they call it the Southern National Party in a lot of places. I've received mail from them over the years when I was young, getting pissed off at the system just because, well, you know, it's like Floyd when I was little.
Well, you think they're good, you know, you think, I don't know, but yeah, I think that's when it started. I'm not sure, but it would explain as to why a lot of these things are happening. They have a lot of power.
And they have very, very, very deep ties.
Yes, I know.
Well, Arkansas, you know, it's Arkansas.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but the state of Arkansas actually owns the state of Missouri. It was signed on June 6th, 1996 by Bill Clinton. I have the SAM's website, you know, if you just go look at who owns what. Yeah, the state of Arkansas, I can send it to you. It's on the SAM's website. So, wow. Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah. And
all right. All right. Other normal people out there who might ever listen to this, who aren't on some super big hit death list thing, weird thing like Kayla's got, listen to the stuff we talked about, and you can take out 99% of these bad folks. I have no idea, girl, and I feel so sorry.
I'll find my remedy. God tells me.
I know you will. I know you will.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm checking my checklist right here of what normally takes these bastards down, and I got to put my glasses back on. Let me look like Chris Hauser here for a minute.
I'm definitely doing the 3949A and all that stuff again. So.
I'm sitting here in my mobile home with my ankle bracelet on. They must have a SSA. Who signed it? Get a QSIP, run SSN docket court case, cage codes. You're already ahead of that. Birth certificates, Form BD, IRS.
Crazy.
Let's see. Hey, I need a W-9. I want to report my gift. So I need your EIN, suspicious activity. Good God, girl. What's that bond and possession? Oh. Hey, the attorneys on this case.
Okay.
Your opposing attorney. Your opposing attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have the IRS code 26-2032 AE11 bond they're supposed to have?
Ooh.
Because when you're in control of decedent estate property, you're supposed to be bonded.
Okay, with the IRS. Okay.
Correct. And the bar has a contract with the IRS. Yeah, imagine that. And that's actually kind of for a good thing. IRC 2032 AE11.
So am I reading this correctly where this says that the contractor, which is HHS, Veritas HHS, is getting 9604 per month?
Right, that's correct. Yeah. Veritas Inc. And that's not counting the judge, the sheriff's department. Shit, I'm on beer number 3 now. The judge, the sheriff's department, the courthouse gets money every month. The clerk, they all get money. That one is just for these folks with Veritas Inc. And they might stretch out your way. Have you seen, Kaylin, have you seen any paperwork with Veritas on it?
No, this is the first time I've ever been heard of it, so I'm so thankful.
There's 4 or 5 of those companies.
Yeah, they're a third-party interloper. They are now printing certificates of live birth.
Yeah, there's 4 or 5 large companies that take care of this throughout the U.S. Veritas is probably the second largest one, and they're based, like, I think in Wyoming area or something like that.
Have you guys ever heard of IOLTA?
Sort of, but I couldn't tell you yes or no right now. Remember, beer number 3.
It's all attorneys like trust fund. They all have a trust fund, and I even sent IOLTA a notice like, hey, they're administering for my estate, and I never gave them a permission to. I never heard anything back, but it was.
Kayla, how old are you?
I'm 33.
Where have you been studying?
Everywhere, just everything, everywhere. I studied some Rourke stuff, some Patrick Devine, some Gene Keating, some David Strait stuff. I really just read a lot too, like the Immigration Nationality Act, the treaties, the Securities and Exchange Act. I read all these acts too. I read whatever I can read. I try to soak it up, and I ask God to please let me take what I need to from these things that I'm reading. I've read the Social Security Act. I have them all printed out and in a binder. So if I need to go back and forth to them, I want to teach my babies this. And they knew that I was teaching our babies the opposite of what they wanted. So
I have to ask this. Where were your parents?
Oh, well, my parents, what's crazy is my grandpa helped found the city, Bentonville, Arkansas. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but
Walmart, baby.
Yep. He ate and drank coffee with Sam Walton a lot during the week. And my parents are involved in that. And my parents were really mad at me when I decided to stay at home and go off the grid and live my life the way I wanted to live. And it wasn't how I wanted, it's how God told me that I should. And I became really spiritual, and it's just the exact opposite of what they wanted. They were like, you need to be working and in society, and we've groomed you your whole life to be this way. And they were just really disappointed in me. And then when I had more than 2 babies, they were like, I can't believe you're having all these children. And my husband comes from a poor family, and they just didn't like anything from me. And so I didn't talk to my mom for a long time. And when all this happened, I actually went and reunited with my mom and dad and told them what was happening. They're like, well, you shouldn't have had guns and drugs in your car. And they're really programmed and brainwashed into the system, and they let their light go, in exchange for the conveniences and things like that. So I don't have any family after this. Like, all my family thinks I'm absolutely crazy. They're just like, why are you fighting the system so hard? I'm like, I'm not fighting the system. I'm trying to come in honor. I'm trying to do what's written. These are all these things I'm telling you are written. You just have to go read it yourself. And so, yeah, I'm just a Black, they don't have anything to do with me. And they're actually friends with the foster parents. They think that they're they're just so happy that they're in school and they're not on the farm anymore. So we don't talk.
Okay. Wow. That's so sad. They're missing out.
Right. Exactly. And when I was in Arizona, locked up in Arizona, I called them and I said, have you talked to my babies? And they're like, oh, we haven't talked to them in like 3 months, but they're busy at school and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like they don't
Right.
even know these people. They're just, and this woman has been convicted of hot checks in Arkansas. 2 months before she got my other 3 babies in her possession, she had posted on her Facebook that her husband told her to not have any more fosters than what they already had. So to me, it was like all about money for her, and they make so much money off of them every day. And when I mentioned the trust, they denied it, even though I had their handbooks and stuff. They blatantly talk about the trust, that they're taking the money from the trust account. So, I mean, I had the proof, I had the evidence, but they never allowed me like an actual court hearing where I could go into a courtroom. It was all by video teleconferences and stuff. And when I would send notices to the clerk, she never filed them. She refused to give me any court dates. She refused to give me any of the documents. So, you know, and threatened that I was harassing her. And I was like, well, I have the right to the paperwork. That's all this is about, is the paperwork. So yeah, I just a lot. I've tried so much.
It's a house of paper cards.
Yep, that's right. And I didn't know anybody that was like us, like actual men and that are have this knowledge. So I was by myself and I was just doing it. And my husband was at a wall. His heart broke and he was psychologically and mentally just, I couldn't get through to him to learn all of this stuff with me. So I was literally like on my own. You know, he would sign the documents I needed him to or do what this, but he checked out. When they took our babies, he checked out.
You ain't on your own. Somebody up above is helping you out.
That's right. He kept me going. And that's the only way I'm still smiling or still joyful, is because that's the spirit that he's given me. And he's given me peace in every circumstance. You know,
I call that the razor's edge. I was there for several years. I know Floyd's been there, and you don't know which way you're going to fall. And meanwhile, you're standing on a razor's edge, but you keep trying to do the right thing. And more information comes in and you're like, oh yeah, that's, oh yeah.
This is awesome. This is so amazing. I never knew this existed. So
yeah, the cat's out of the bag now.
Yeah, this is really good. Thank you so much for sharing this.
Go get those, because then, and if you have the assumed name certificate or you've already claimed your securities, either way, they don't have power of attorney. But you got to do one of those 2 things, because they presume that a power of attorney and start writing all this stuff. But when you do one of those 2 things and you're not a voter, you can go after them and sick the IRS. Hey, that's odd that the IRS didn't.
Yeah. Well, okay. So what I did, a handwritten notice. It's a claim on acceptance is the title. And I can send it to you. Maybe you could look over. It's just seriously so short and sweet. It's 2 pages. And I claimed all of these accounts and the QSIP numbers beside it. And I said, I accept all rights, titles, and interest for value.
Right.
You know, I said that in this document, and it's my second time to do that. I have power of attorney over their estates, over my estate. My husband has his estate. I sent a 2848 to get a CAF number with the IRS. I never got anything back from it, but yeah. So like you're saying, the power of attorney, I knew all that stuff was a big deal. So
I don't know, because any of the folks that I've helped out, once they go to the IRS, the local agents begin needing depends on a regular basis. The depends absorbent diapers for adults. I don't know. I would check into, and now I am going to check into also who's above whoever might have received that, whatever agent was, because it's all agents. They get their bonuses by turning in, whether it's the child support people, we sent them these notices, they need to pay us, or it's the IRS agent. It's the same thing.
Well, I had kept all those receipts of who was getting them and who was signing off on them. But every time I'm arrested, they're destroyed. And then I don't have an address when I get out. So I have to set up at the general post, because you use the zip code plus the 998. So you're not in their jurisdiction.
Yep.
And I mean, I just don't. So I just have to redo all the IRS stuff, because that's who I want next. I want them.
I'm super curious now, because I would start heading up the ranks of the IRS, because somebody's not paying anything on this.
That's right.
And when it hits the right person, oh, wait a minute. 2 of my underlings didn't do their job, and I pointed it out, and I'll get a $10,000 to $50,000 bonus, whatever. It's it's nothing compared to the hell you're going through, Floyd's been through, and I've been through. But that's the way those systems work. That's why I say bait them like an alligator. An alligator will go after a raw chicken. It will go after a raw chicken underwater. It will go after a raw chicken hanging 2 feet above the water with a nice hook in it and a good steel leader. And you got to use a good steel leader. Otherwise, snap it off.
That's good information.
But yeah, that's crazy. The few, and it's not a lot, but the few folks that I've helped with this, the IRS was like, bam, and everybody was shitting on themselves.
That's good. I don't know if that's what got me out of jail, because the last thing I did was a notice of liability for the use pursuant to Title 42, 408, subsection 8 of the Social Security numbers without I said whoever uses, compels, or forces to use this number without our consent, that's a 5-year, federal, that's a penalty, that's a huge penalty. And I sent them notice. They didn't respond in 3 days. I sent it to the sheriff, the prosecuting attorney, the clerk, the judge. And then 3 days later, I sent a notice of fraud, waste, and abuse that I was sending it to the director of the Social Security Administration. And then a couple days later, they came to me and was like, we've already packed your stuff. I was in what's called the law library. And they were like, get out of our jail. And I was like, I'm not leaving here without my husband. I came here with him. I'm leaving here with him. And he was like, no, you don't have any choice. You're leaving now. They got me in and out like in an hour. They kicked me out of jail. So I don't know if that's what did it or not. I mean, I'm not sure, but I noticed the Social Security Administration that they were using the Social Security number to employ me without just compensation. They're holding me in involuntary servitude.
But you probably already got this. I have to make one accusation before I bring this point up, though. You do realize you're like a savant.
What's that?
No, she doesn't.
What is that?
That means you're beautiful in your mind and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
The SSA 89 form.
Okay.
SSA, Social Security Administration 89 form. Before anybody accesses that routing number or account, depending on which way you use it, there has to be a signed form from you or your power of attorney to access that account. It's a small fine if they don't have it. It's like 500, couple thousand, maybe $5,000 fine. But in order to access those accounts, they have to have the SSA 89 filled out. Somebody filled that out.
Okay.
You might want to find out who that individual is. Yeah.
Because that's who can get that 42 USC 408 penalty. That's 5 years in federal prison. Heck yeah, I'm going after everybody. I don't know my baby's socials because they took them, and when I went,
and they just made them up. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I went to get their birth certificates, the vital statistics for Arkansas said, "Oh, you can't have these because they're in state custody." And I was like, "Well, where's a contract for them to be in state custody to begin with?" like
They're my property. What are you talking? State property. They're
Yeah.
my property.
they're my property. Oh, they were pissed when I was calling it my biological and intellectual property. They were like, see, she doesn't care about her children. She's calling them property. And I was like, they are my property. You're calling them a child. That is on a securities instrument. That is not what they are. So yeah, I've had this go around, and it seems like every time I'm where I'm gonna like really screw them in the ass for what they're doing to me, they throw me in jail. I've been in jail now a whole year for the past 2 years, 6 months, and then 6 months. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to see that box again. Because when they hold me in jail, they hold me in solitary confinement. They don't let me go mingle with other girls, which is probably
That's the best. That's the best place to be because you can think.
Yes, exactly. That's why I said God says, when they mean to hurt you, it only made me better. I got to meditate all the time. I got to become closer to my creator. I used it as an advantage, over my enemy. He says that I will prevail over my enemy. Don't mess with the mama and her babies. You took my babies. Those are my whole world.
Right.
That's right. But yeah, see if you can find out who signed that SSA 89.
That's a good one. Thank you.
That is the official form to access the account with.
Awesome.
Is that the Social Security power of attorney?
In essence, yes.
Ooh.
Hang on. Oh, hell yeah, I did a video on this. Yeah, this is yeah, of course, yeah. Of course I did a video on
I need to go through your videos.
Hang on. Let me pull this thing up. Yeah. When you apply for a mortgage, a bank account, a loan, retirement account, licensing requirement, apply for a dang job.
Yeah, that's it.
Issue
That's
a
it.
power of attorney.
Yep. That's it. That's it, Floyd. You got it.
Awesome. Yay.
Absolutely.
It would be very interesting to see who put a bad name on a federal form, all that crap that goes with that problem.
Oh, yeah. Title 18, that's like a bunch of misrepresentation of facts. That's a bunch of like false and misleading documents. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of shit.
Yeah. Damn. I feel the pain already. You ain't even done nothing. You're just talking about it.
And this is good. This is really
yeah. See, I trace this whole
Scroll
thing
down
back
to the signature line. Scroll down to the signature line.
There you go.
It's valid. Please sign. Oh, yeah. See that line right there. That's what we want to see.
Relationship, if not the individual to whom the SSN was issued. Yeah, that's exactly what we want to see.
Floyd, I know this video came out horrible with me having a beer and smoking and talking shit, but if the average person, not Kayla, if the average person who has a child support issue or a CPS issue,
this is it.
Yeah, we gave them 10 clues on how to defeat their system. And like we were talking about earlier, those agents don't know anything about this.
This can be used for anything, though, right? Any contract with the government they're trying to put on you. Exactly. Contract. So that could be a criminal court case. It could be a civil court case for property taxes.
Yes, sir.
Delinquent school taxes. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yep.
This is amazing.
Mister, I did a video on it, and now I realize this. He's thinking back 20 years ago.
You can point at that, I'm sure.
I got to give shout outs where they're due. So Clarence Rankins, you're the one who turned me on to this. So you get all the credit for giving me this document. Produce my video. What I was proving is that there is a Social Security trust, and they tell us what it is. We just have to reverse it because what? As is above is below, mirror it.
Yep.
It's a trust full of security so we can operate in society, but because we were programmed and institutionalized not to take care of our own affairs, we have to hire these third-party interlopers, i.e. your tier 1 banks, Wells Fargo, Bank and then all these other financial institutions, MasterCard, Visa, American Express, and then your individual loan companies, Santander, and
or your emergency loan companies when you got to get that I need $2,000 to do this, and and they give it to you. Yeah, all of those. Hey, Floyd, look, when my Jesus beard grows out better, and I won't look like so much the Hauser kid. I will, at that point when it does, I'm going to remind you why he turned over the tables in the synagogue.
Okay. And I tell you what, for that, I'm going to send you I'm going to send you a Chris Hauser t-shirt when we get a merch.
Wait, damn.
Dude, where's my car?
Dude, where's my
What's it gonna say? I didn't get his car.
No, it says, dude, where's my car? And it has a picture of Chris Hauser on the front.
I didn't
get $10.99.
I didn't get the gold Lexus with spinners.
Right.
So many people were trying to put me onto him, and the only thing I did, I went and saw the video where he was in the court wearing that "Don't Be Shaky" shirt, but he has an attorney speaking on behalf of everything, and I'm like, how can you say don't be shaky? You're just sitting there. Like, get up and speak for speak about it. Like, what are you doing?
You can feel it. You can feel it.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Can you not feel it? Somewhere between here and here, you feel it, whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah, that was wrong. And I was like, this is all I need to see. It was like 2 minutes of that video, and I was like,
that shit was wrong.
What the hell are people following this guy for? And then they're defending, well, he just had to use this and this and then. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much disinformation. I just don't believe how people just follow that when it's blatant in your face, and that's how like Freemasonry works. They have to show you in your face, and you got to consent that way,
Did you never heard my story on Lee? What, Floyd, you were Mason?
No. Bad Wolf, James C. Lovett, is a Mason. And
I love James.
Ask him, he will tell you anything and everything you need to know about Masons, his role in the Masons. And I think there's 1 or 2 things that he will not tell you. And he'll tell you he won't tell you those 2 things. Everything.
You cannot tell things,
I will tell you the same thing because I am/was a Mason.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think there's wrong when there's people that are abusing that. They're abusing that, and that's what I feel like happened to us is because.
Let me give you a 2-minute overview of my experience with that. Read Bible, decided to get divorced. Right as I'm getting divorced, joined Masonry. I'm like, wow, okay, this is cool. They're quoting biblical stuff here, and I just read the Bible, and everything's in line with it. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to the lodge every week, and I became the head educator. There was a title for it. It would just call me the head educator, with the retard. And I'm like giving out good, hey, look at this Bible quote and look at this Masonry quote. These things work good. Help our brethren. This is what we do. Let's have a barbecue over here for the crippled children. All kinds of good stuff. And they had an issue with what's called the Prince Hall Lodges. You've probably seen them before. It'll say Prince Hall Lodge, AF and AM or AFM on side of a building. That's the black folks' lodge. And I was like, why is there a difference between the black folks and the white folks lodge?
Yeah.
So now I'm moving up through what they call the chairs a couple of years later. And I get to go vote in North Carolina General, whatever they call it, Poobah thing or whatever. And I read Albert Pike's book.
Morals and Dogma?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've read it.
And it's an awesome book. It's really a good book. It shows you all the religions of the world, and there's beneficial religions and detrimental religions. That's basically the 2 things that show. You're the first person I ever met that read the whole fucking thing.
I read it. Yeah.
Am I correct? It's only a comparison of the religions of the world.
I agree. Yes.
So I go to Grand Lodge, and now I could vote. I'm like, all right, we're gonna set this shit straight. Prince Hall Lodge is up for vote. Now, before your time, there was a banjo player called Roy Clark. He was a big,
Oh, yeah.
Floyd knows him.
Yeah. Oh, he's a
there-
badass guitarist, much less
There's race.
banjo.
Well, he's out there entertaining us at this beautiful hotel out here in Raleigh, the capital, a couple hours away,
Right.
further west from here. And
I've been there.
there's race car drivers, and they got all these people entertaining us, and this, that, the other, and they go through their schmeal, and then the vote comes, and I'm like, yeah, we need to let Prince Hall Lodge members be the same equal footing. There's no difference. Got voted down, and I'm like, all right, well, that kind of sucks. So I go speak to the Grand Poobah, who's over like this half of the U.S. for Scottish Rite or something. And I said, hey, man, I had to wait. It took me an hour and a half to wait for him to get off stage. And this is a beautiful hotel. I mean, the chandeliers were bigger than this room I'm in. And I went up and asked him, I said, hey, man, shook his hand. I said, I introduced myself. I'm John. When I read Morals and Dogma, there was a section in it and he stopped me. He says, you read the whole book?
There was
And I
a
said,
section
yeah.
I had a question about.
He says, you read the whole book? And I said, yeah, I got a question about it. He said, that's too confusing for me. And that was it. That was it for me. I was, fuck y'all, I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So
Albert Pike is from Arkansas.
do what?
Really?
Albert Pike is from Arkansas.
Yeah, yeah.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
He's from
Have you ever
Arkansas?
read Have you ever read the Kybalion?
Yes, yes.
That's a good
Yeah.
book. I read that in jail, and I will read it again. I will read it again and
10
again.
years ago, yes. That's why some of this stuff that I'm calling out to y'all is like, that's kind of old to me because I'm going into the securities part of it now. So, and I was like, oh God, these people need to know this. And Steph came and went. You might have saw her a minute ago. She's getting heavy into that because she's feeling a little betrayed after years of being a paralegal and not knowing some of the stuff she was involved in.
So are you doing a Title 15 USC 1 and 2 or what? Because
No, I still don't want anybody to escape. And maybe that's bad or wrong of me. But all the way down to everybody that was involved with it, I'm tying them in.
yeah,
You did this, you claimed this, you said this, I got it on paper. And then I notice them a little bit about, hey, you might be involved in this fraud, which now they have no escape.
yeah.
And some of them, yeah, I'm going to let slide because they're just average idiots.
They're stupid. Yeah, it's sad.
But the ones who make profit off of rubber stamping another case and rubber stamping another case, and their bonus builds up, and they get all excited about it. No, they're not getting out of here. Not out of Johnny's world.
I commend you for that. I noticed the Tulsa County business of their securities exchange, like their securities fraud on Title 15 subsection 1 and 2, because they're monopolizing a trade and they're preventing, contracts and trusts. They're, hindering that.
What?
So
Look, Floyd just stopped on state funds, federal funds.
Hold on. They're
They
paying
get federal.
$91,000 a year per child.
Plus kickbacks, Floyd, plus kickbacks from the federal government.
oh my gosh.
Wow.
You see that, Kayla?
5 of
What
my
a-
babies.
What a bounty.
Well, multiply.
There's a bounty on children.
Yeah, it's human trafficking.
There's a bounty. There it is right there. That's what the bounty is on a
And that's
child
just part of it. That's just
in North
part
Carolina.
of it,
Dude, I had asked the woman who has my babies while she was under oath in the courtroom, how much money do you make a month for taking my property? And she said, I don't make anything a month. My husband had to take out a second job to support your children.
She doesn't. So I'd only maybe when it comes time, maybe just take her house and children away from her. But her boss, I'd take her house and grandchildren away from her. That's just me. It might or might not be biblical. I think it's biblical,
It
like the
is.
rod to God.
Deuteronomy 24:6 says that if another man takes your child, I put that in my paperwork. They call me a terrorist.
You're a savant, is what you are, and we need you, and we love you. And
I love you guys. I want to help everybody.
Floyd, did you send her these contracts? And this is
I
just
have not. I'm going to post that they are going into her and the other girls' Telegram groups. Stop human trafficking. Go on Telegram. Stop human trafficking. Stop human trafficking on Telegram.
Floyd. I drive a 77 F-150. I'm still getting into the Telegram thing. Make sure she gets those damn emails.
Okay.
Now multiply that times 5, and does it make a little more sense to you now?
Yeah. Yeah, I knew it was about the money the whole time. They're making merchandise for my babies. And that's what I've said. And they've just,
But having the proof in your hand and then going after them for securities fraud.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. That's gold to me. That is gold. I'm overwhelmed with just emotion that I have towards you. And I thank you for your energy and your time. And just, I really do.
I ain't stopping until they all out of business.
Right.
I'm down with you.
This is what we need to do. Okay, Kayla, as a team in the Telegram, you need to, with the assistance of the other heroines you have in there, and you have the ability to point other people as administrators or moderators, whatever, to help you guys out. Y'all need to start collecting these FOIA requests from every jurisdiction, every state. And so we can
now you're talking my language.
What the child bounty is per child in that state, so we can publish it and make everybody aware that the reason so many children go missing in the United States unaccounted for is they're worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's not even counting. That's not even counting the federal matching funds and bonuses.
Wow.
Yeah. Let me show that.
How do we get a hold of that information?
This is the bounty right here. $91,254 in care. What were you at? What mills?
Where you get a free goat with every doctor's visit. Polk County, North Carolina, baby.
Yeah, Polk County, North Carolina.
That's right.
It's the contract.
I don't know. Look, Floyd, I wouldn't trust them if they tried the brain scan thing up here, but this stuff I know about.
Wow. And it increases every year. Look at that.
Yeah, that's sick.
Sure. And meanwhile, those securities are out of the market too, on top of that.
That's sick. So they just did an ex parte order of protection in this, where they have my babies in Carroll County, Arkansas, and they sent it to me, right, with this horrible sworn affidavit she lied in, and I sent it back point for point. I rebutted her affidavit and I endorsed the order and sent it back to the judge. Well, the day before I got out, they did it separate. So they created 4 new accounts. That's 4 securities. Yeah, she did one on me. The husband did one on me. Then the wife did one on my husband, and the man did one on my husband. So they made 4 new things out there, and it has a box on it, right? We know what's in the box doesn't count, right? It says all county sheriffs, police officers must enforce this protection order, which I know that's bullshit. It's all bullshit, but you know what I mean? Like, it's in a box.
They fall for it. They think, I'm a state trooper. I got to do that. Yep.
And people don't know that. And then people like me, well, I'm going to hold you accountable to that. If you listen to that order and
she's resisting arrest, kick her in the nuts.
Yeah, that's bad. They are awful.
Yeah.
So
That's all they are. victims of being in Babylon.
Brainwashing, programming.
Yep.
You know, I pray every day over my enemies. I pray that God puts it on their mind and their heart to just open it for a second to see what they're doing. Maybe they'll repent. Maybe they'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe what I've done.
I tried that for the longest time. And then I just said, God, just let me show other people these things. And they just let the chips fall where they may.
Right.
And I try and restrain myself. I do. That's probably the hardest thing I ever do is who am I going to hold accountable? Which one? Which one of these people am I going to hold accountable? And I try. And some days I'm good about it. Some days I'm not. But every time I find out a little more information, like Floyd's eyes just lit up 10 minutes ago, it gets difficult because they hurt my family.
Right. They're hurting innocent babies everywhere. And they need foster parents for all these children that they're taking from their good moms and dads from their homes.
That never even get to know their mamas or daddies. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's the ones I want to go after, but they're not in my area. So the best thing I could do is share this with everybody.
Bless you for that.
Yeah. Bless you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you so much.
For eternity.
Right.
For eternity, bro. You did it. Yeah. If we can save one, okay. We're trying to save 5 right here, right now, but we can save 1.
I don't know if you've ever heard or seen of, and he used to have a lot better videos than he puts up now. Amin Osiris on child support. He's on the same mission. They took $9 million from him.
Oh my gosh.
And messed up his family. That's where probably half of this I learned from. And he's an awesome guy. He's a black guy. Hell, I can't even, that's so old school. Amin, don't beat me up if you hear this. He's an awesome guy. You gotta love him. But they ripped him bad. And he's just like me. He's on a mission to help people understand stuff.
And yeah, they tried to make me pay child support. They didn't do it to my husband, but they sent me this link to my email one day and was like, you have to pay child support for all 5 of your babies. And yeah, right. Are you serious? I don't think so. Who the hell do you think that you are? I pulled up their trust where it talks about trust accounts in their thing. And I'm like, you're making money off of my babies already. And this woman doesn't work. You're going to put me in the workplace and make me pay for you stealing my property? You're out of your damn mind. You are out of your damn. I blew up when I saw that. I was like, they're kidding, right? This is a joke. I mean, they got to know I'm putting up flyers that they're a for-profit corporation with their cage code and their Dun & Bradstreet number, and then they're going to send me and tell me I need to pay them money. Yeah, right. You got the wrong one.
Floyd, I don't know if on your computer, I'm just operating off a normal laptop over here. If there's a atomic flame emoji you can replace her head with. I don't know if you could do that, but that's what you need. That's what you need.
Well, I can go right through that halo she's got up there.
Sorry. Sometimes, I mean, I'm not perfect. You know, I ask for grace every day. Every day I have to put all down at his feet and say, you know, thank you for your grace. Thank you for your mercy. Because
every day, every morning.
Every day. I'm renewed every day. And yes, exactly. That's the first thing I do is go to my Bible every morning and I pray. And the last thing I do before I go to bed. So that's important.
I'm not, you're better than me. I read it a couple of times, full front to back, a couple different versions, and I got the main input and I was like, all right, that's all I need. Let's go have some fun. Once in a while. And although I do pray every day, I can't say I read the Bible every day. But as I learn more about it, it's a banking manual, it's a trust law manual, and a wonderful, beautiful moral guide to everything.
Did you hear that I mailed them a Bible? I mailed them a Bible and told them this was my security agreement, my bond, and my trust. I mailed the
Ooh,
courthouse.
you burned them hard with that. You're hitting them with canon law there.
They did not do nothing. Yeah, I sent them that. And yeah, every time I would say, let the record reflect that the living God is my trust, my counsel, and my witness. And when the public defender came, I said, blessed is the man that does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly. And I mean, I just feel like if you memorize scripture, that's our law. That's most important is what God says, because this life is just temporary. I want my eternal heaven, my mansion he talks about.
Yeah,
But
it's wow.
what do you think about them ignoring the Bible as my special deposit like that?
I learned from Randy Kelton. Have you ever heard of Randy Kelton?
I just heard about him while I was in jail.
Oh God, he's an old timer. I listened to him. I listened to
Okay.
him 15 years ago. He's still around.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah,
bad.
he has that I law radio or rule
Yeah,
of law
yes,
radio.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Rule of Law Radio.
Yes.
I listened to him 15 years ago, and he was an old timer back then, but his heart's in the right place. And I learned things from him. And he always, the biggest thing I ever got from him was big fish eat little fish. And that coincides with my Louisiana understanding of the way things work.
Yeah.
And whenever I've had to use that, it always worked. So just like reading the Bible, it's the principles that you get out of it. Big fish eat little fish. If the IRS agent that you prove you put the paperwork in his hands in didn't do his job, time to go to the bigger fish.
Yeah, I agree.
And election years are the best time for that.
Thank you for that.
And that's just, I mean, as simple as that is, I found that one simple thing, which I proved in nature, it works. Which astounded me. It's like, well, what the hell? The IRS didn't do anything on this? Do they know somebody? Are they friends? Is there an election year? How are they tied in?
That's why I couldn't think of what in the world is going on here. And when I did my 2848 and I was trying to get my CAF number, I just never got a response for that CAF number. I'm like, okay.
Did they actually get it?
I had faxed it in and my fax said it went through, and then I mailed it to them and my certified mail showed that it,
I'd ask their boss. I'd ask their boss if whoever was supposed to receive it received it.
Okay.
That could be huge. It might not be, but I would go to their boss and say, hey, did so-and-so receive this on this date like it said?
Okay.
Please send me a response.
Thank you. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Because a lot of people are on these payrolls that we don't know about. And we know that they're on the payrolls. We just don't know which ones they are.
Right.
But it's worth a letter, an email, a registered letter to find out, hey, did so-and-so receive this? Just yes or no. And stuff like that you can take to small claims court and they can actually decide on it, which is nice. And then you've got, got you now, buddy.
Right.
Because you violated public policy, and you're not supposed to violate public policy. You'll never get a bonus again. No more extra cookies at the reunion. None of that shit. You violated public policy.
That's my husband, you guys.
Tell him we love him, and good God, I feel for him. Half of it is dealing with you, and the other half is for dealing with what he's having to deal with. You're wonderful.
Thank you so much.
That's a compliment.
Hi, babe. Say hi.
Hey, I can let you go if you're still busy.
Well, we were just talking about you and the babies.
Yeah.
How you
Get
doing,
me out
man? Hey, brother, we're working on it. I got somebody coming on the air probably in 5 minutes, who we talked about earlier, Kayla. She's going to jump on the Zoom,
Awesome.
and we're going to talk about that.
Praise the Lord.
That's wonderful news. Good. You doing okay, babe?
Yeah, I guess. I asked him to give me the warrant or the order, and he came back and said, that he pulled his notebook out and he said, "You still have fugitive justice on the 22nd, so you got to go to court for that." And then he was trying to sound out. He said, "You got to hold for Missouri." He was trying to sound it out.
Mm-hmm. Which
and I said, "So can you get me the warrant or the order to the reason why you're holding me here?" And he said, "No, I can't." And he said, "Dude, it's 8:45 at night. What court do you know of is still open?" I said, "Well, the jail should have it if you're holding me." He said, "I'm not going to go looking through papers. All I can tell you is what the computer says."
Ask him if you can see the magistrate 3 times in 3 different ways. Can I see the magistrate? Is nobody up this time of night? That's just another proof of denial of due process. You sure there's nobody awake? Is there nobody here at all? What time did they come in? I'd like to see one now. 3 times, and you got them another charge in the future.
Yeah, that's what we did immediately. We asked for the magistrate, and I even called the magistrate's office. You know, you're supposed to use your after day 18, I called the magistrate's office. We didn't eat for a long time. We never signed in, but I just kept asking for the warrant or to go see a magistrate. You know, let me see the warrant or let me go to a magistrate. They refused. And my first notice.
That's all we said for the first few days. Let me see the magistrate.
Yeah. That's who we're asking.
They cannot deny you. This is the right quote. Meaningful access to the courts. The courthouse doors can never be closed. The courts are ours. They're open to the public.
Well, guess what? They didn't put us in front of a judge for him 41 days and me 52 days. And I wasn't even put before a judge. It was on teleconference.
Right. So what we see here is individuals just living their normal life, and we see a unlawful act, and it seems to be a continuation of unlawful acts to cover up the initial lawful act that has gotten so complicated that nobody can do anything but act unlawfully or dishonorably in this whole process, because nobody really knows what the heck's going on, because it's a mystery. They're just being told, hold this guy. They don't know why. Yeah, and I've had that to me done before. I went to jail, and they tossed me off in a rubber room and left me there.
We've been to a rubber room, haven't we, babe? But he was locked up 14 years.
Yeah. And
Floyd special.
Add respect to you.
Well, there's no place in a jail or a prison that I haven't been. They haven't put me. They haven't tried to defeat me. I have survived. By the grace of God, and I've revealed just a little bit of some of the horror stories I've gone through. So I totally understand. And it's very sad what's going on. I'm still really teed off about how the indigenous are being treated in Tulsa in this day and age, that my tribe's not doing anything about it. I really feel for you, but don't think, brother, for 1 second that you are being ignored. You have the best woman on the face of the planet. Trust us. Okay.
Thank you.
You are so blessed, my brother. You just, I swear, put this woman on a pedestal and carry her around the world, show her off, because she's worth every bit of it.
I'm so proud of her. I can't even put it into words. All I can do is just say it over and over. I worship the ground she walks on.
Oh, gosh.
I don't blame you. I do too.
You should.
Badass. She's
Thank
a
you,
badass.
guys.
I thank y'all. I was just saying Job 22:21 while ago over and over. Acquaint thyself with him and be at peace, and thereby good shall come unto thee. And I had my little radio on, and I was saying that scripture to myself over and over, and then that song came on. Is it midnight or midday? Help is on the way, right around the corner. I was like, oh my God, thank you, God.
Oh man.
Just be patient, my brother. We're working on it, man. We're going to get you out of there because this is a whole bunch of bullshit. I want you guys to go recreate y'all's Garden of Eden somewhere and just invite me to come eat some farm fresh eggs. That'll be it.
For sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank
I'll
you,
cook some gumbo, Floyd.
Well, here, we have our viewer who has so kindly decided to come on. She's not going to do video. She's going to do audio, but she's going to help Kayla get you out. And that's what we're here. So this is a very unique situation. Hadassah, if you'd like to jump on and unmute yourself and introduce yourself. We actually have Kayla's husband on the phone from jail live. How crazy is that? Is that not divinity?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm sorry you guys are going through this. I actually got into all of this because of a custody battle for my daughter. My situation is a little bit different than most, kind of like yours is complicated, right?
Yeah.
However, I was actually able to get myself out of jail from inside of jail with a tax form.
Wow.
I helped another woman this summer get out with some tax forms. And I do have another friend that actually, she got herself out from inside of jail with a tax form.
She's got my attention.
Mm-hmm.
So one, my friend that got herself out, she used a 8300 form.
Okay.
That one
I'm
is
familiar
just,
with that.
yeah, reporting the over $10,000 of cash. If you address it directly to the judge, because that's the one who's actually going to be, banking from that or profiting. You put them on the spot. That's one way she got out.
Quick question. Would that be the current presiding judge? If you're, like my judge is long gone, my sentencing judge and my trial judge.
You can do it on all of them if you want.
All up. Oh, okay. Okay, carry on, please.
They profit. And they all profit through this, with this, by it.
Good night. I love
It's
you.
under Title VII.
Ooh.
All right. Bye, babe. Okay. You said Title VII?
Title VII, Section 2021. It's under
Of
the
the
SNAP
US code?
program. Yep. Under the SNAP program, because they're, housing and feeding us. They're actually jails and courts, as well as being a lot of things, are also classified as a wholesale food concern or a storefront.
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
providing
They have that
food, right?
warehouse receipt.
Fucking-
Yeah. Because when they book you in, they actually book you in two methods, because they have to book your person in, right? Then
Yeah.
they have to book in the body as well. So they book the person in via, there's a publication, an IRS 3112. That is an application for e-file. It explains why they take our fingerprints. Basically, they're saying we're part of that business. They're making a little mini corporation. I even found this after one time I was arrested. I got something in the mail right after I actually got my EIN for my decedent estate and my DBA. They actually sent me something in the mail from Pennsylvania. They had actually registered a DBA in Pennsylvania under my name.
Oh, what?
So they're making a business. And that publication explains exactly why we're the quote unquote responsible party, and even how to issue a warrant. Because a warrant is a check.
Yes. Black
Yes,
law.
absolutely.
Yep.
Did a video on it.
So that warrant is actually
So
them
what was the
kicking you off.
IRS form?
It's a
Hadassah, what was the-
publication. 3/31/12.
3112.
Mm-hmm.
That's an IRS publication.
Yep.
So Hadassah, I have a question. I never gave them my fingerprints, photograph, or anything. And then November, after I was held there for like 3 or 4 months, they shackled me and tased me and beat me up for my fingerprints. How did they keep me in there for?
Well, because what they're claiming on this, they file the tax forms and they actually file them for the year ahead. So they're saying that you were already there for a year.
Wow.
If you want to check that, go to what is it? justbooked.com or something like that. It's you know, where you can pull up mugshots, booking records, see who's been, you know, recently booked. You'll notice that your birthday is a year ahead on their, you know, they make you a year older so they can fudge the numbers. It's not your birthday, it's your age, excuse me. So
Hadassah, you rule.
well, it's they're just getting paid out ahead of time, right? Because you can elect to change your tax year. If you look on the form 8821, you can actually go forward or ahead into the future up to 3 years. So that's how they skip a lot of that. In that
like a
3112 publication, it'll tell you what the warrant's issuing. Basically, it says that they're taking you off as a contact for that business. When you take somebody off as a contact or a partner, you have to pay them out their share, right? And it issues a warrant. There's your check. But it normally is not in your name. It's normally in the other, either the arresting officer or the judge's name. We found that out this summer with a woman that came here for some help and stuff went sideways. She was arrested out front of a hotel, and I know you're in a hotel, right? When this happened?
Yeah, she was at a hotel. Hang on.
Yeah, hotels, huge problem. If you get the receipts, and always get your receipts, always ask for the copy of it. You'll actually see right there where they're doing the double book entry. That they're charging the estate and they're taking payment from you. Just simple math or simple accounting, like bookkeeping, because they don't put a negative sign in front of something in bookkeeping when it's a negative. They put parentheses around the number, right?
Right.
A negative sign actually denotes a credit to your books. All the numbers on that.
Could you repeat that, please? I'm sorry.
Yeah. In bookkeeping, they don't put a negative sign in front of the number. They put parentheses around it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. A negative sign in front means a credit to whomever booked, you know, it's their books. They're not our books. That's one thing we have to keep in mind. We keep thinking that when we receive bills or, you know, any kind of charges or whatever in the mail or from anyone, that it's reflecting our books. They don't keep our books. We're not paying them to do that. They keep their books. So those positive amounts that are listed on the charges and the payments for that hotel, it's positive. I have one right in front of me right now, actually. And it comes out to somehow balances out to a negative or a zero balance, right?
Am I okay to
It doesn't add up. It's basic math.
Am I okay to set a bag of
But
donations when we're down here?
the woman that was here this summer, they actually arrested her out in front of the hotel I was staying at. And when they took her kids were in the car. They were supposed to she gave custody of her kids to me, which they ended up not giving or honoring. When they took her away,
like in here in this room.
they actually the whole way to the jail, they were calling her someone else's name, asking her for, you know, phone number and email address.
Right.
And she's like, that's not my name. But supposedly, you know, they went through her purse and everything, and she was even a registered minister. She had her ID in her purse, and they still arrested her, which is against the Geneva Convention.
Wow.
When they finally let her out, because I bribed the county or the judicial district that she was in with a 1099A. Did it in a certain way that it, you know, gave them a loan, if you will.
Right.
And they let her out, and all the charges and everything was dropped, except for they took her minister's ID. They didn't give it back. That's evidence and a bond.
Okay. That's
But
weird.
they released her. They were trying to charge her with kidnapping her own kids.
Wow.
So, but
It's just so hard to wrap your head around that this, you know, they're doing this.
Mhm.
Away with it.
well, it's money, right? That's why I follow the money.
Yeah.
And how they
All the
actually
money.
book in the body, it's a postal form. They literally ship us in warehousing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's a postal form. Sorry, I'm trying to bring it up for plants drop shipment. And 1 second. Trying to find it here. And it's for booking, it's for, you know, shipping in something that's not on a pallet or in a box. There's even a clearance form for it, but that's how they ship in the body. That's why they tag and bag you, right? Literally,
Right.
get a wristband. I used a 1099-C to get myself out. I made one from inside with color
wow.
pencil, and you know, sent it through the mail. I had to wait took me a while because I had to wait for an envelope and a bird stamp. Bird stamps are important. You know, that whole crane story.
Birth stamps.
Bird, BIRD.
Uh-huh.
You know, that whole crane story with the baby, delivering the baby.
Right. No. Tell it.
Well, you know, it's a stork, excuse me. You know, they have the whole stork delivers the baby in a little bundle, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's a bird, right?
Okay.
Deliverance.
Yes. Okay.
Oh.
Kayla just jumped back on. What I'm showing here is UCC section 7.201. Basically, a person may issue a warehouse receipt, storage under bond. Warehouse receipt may be issued by any warehouse if goods, including distilled spirits and agricultural commodities, are stored under a statute requiring a bond against withdrawal or a license for the issuance of receipts in the nature of warehouse receipts, or receipt issued for their goods is deemed to be a warehouse receipt, even if it is issued by a person that is the owner of the goods and it's not a warehouse. So the warehouseman that's going to sign this is your judge.
Actually, the warehousing is signed by the sheriff.
Yes, the sheriff, because I sent a sheriff a notice and asked him for the warehouse receipt saying that I was his goods. He never. No.
I did a video on it. Form of a warehouse receipt. A warehouse receipt need not be in any
it
form.
depends on the state, because I know where I'm at, it's the sheriff, and the sheriff's actually listed on the appearance bond as the defendant.
Well, I have mine signed by the judge. The judge one is that does it. It's the judgment and sentence that
Texas,
all
right?
these requirements are on there. Location of the warehouse facility where the goods are stored, Harris County Jail. You're sentenced to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Date issue of the receipt, date they sign the judgment, unique identification code of the receipt. You have a case number. Statement whether the goods received will be delivered to the bearer or to the named person or to the named person or its order. You're delivered to the sheriff of the county to be delivered to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. The rate of the storage and handling charges, court costs and fees, penalties,
But
all that.
Texas is very much different because they're very much independent.
Yeah. Well, this is, when I placed this side by side, my judgment and sentence, and I just kept going across, matching all these up.
Postal forms. Yeah, they're all postal forms.
I was like, gotta be kidding. I'm in a warehouse. Yeah, I'd
Those are
make all
forms and
makes sense.
tax forms. Yep. That form, by the way, it's 8125, plant verified drop shipment. PS form 8125.
PS 1, 2185.
8125. Yep.
Plan to drop shipment.
Plant verified drop shipment.
Plant.
Because the sheriff's office and the county or the courthouse, they're post offices.
Yes.
You know that they have all their internal posts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah.
also a bank.
Bank. Yep. Exactly. I dressed the clerk as head teller, and see, I did an 8300 form and put it to the clerk of TNA County, Amy Strahan. I addressed it to her, and I sent it to them. And then, like a couple days later, is when we were arrested.
Ooh, okay. So they probably
Yeah.
got you for paper terrorism.
Oh, they say I'm a paper terrorist on their Reddit page they have about me.
They have a Reddit page of it? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. They do not
They
like
tried to
me.
just bury my stuff. Yeah, that's the one bad thing. That's one reason why I didn't do the 8300 for this woman this summer, because her situation was so, with the kids involved and everything, it was touchy. And I didn't want to put anything into a situation where we lost her sons and daughters. So, they got lost in the system somehow. Hence why more of a bribe.
Yeah. So what do we do with that form 8125?
That's just showing you how they're operating. You can
Okay,
do a clearance and it goes through the FAST program, but you have to have a business portal. It's kind of a headache to figure out, to be honest. And I haven't had it work yet. Things I have had work are the tax forms.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all about forms.
So how I got myself out was a 1099-C as an A&T combo. If you read the instructions, and everyone read your instructions, don't just go and do these because somebody told you to do it. You also need to read the general instructions for informational returns. That's a publication. It's a little bit longer.
I just went to the IRS building today, and that's actually what we came to Tulsa for. When I went in there, I went to the window and I asked for the 1099 A, B, and C, and the 1096 and an 8888. And they were like, we don't have those forms here. You got to get them online. And I was like, well,
You're
really was
not supposed to file those paper form. You're supposed to file them online. It says so in the general instructions.
Okay, so I just need to read the instructions because someone else told me to get the paper form. I have the 1099-A online, and I did one. Yeah.
Kayla, I have every form you need, 1099-A all the way back to 2017. The new ones, I got all of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Man, this woman was like
that. You can have all of them.
Awesome. This woman came up to me, and it was a cop sitting there, right? And she was like, oh, no, you can't go past this point. I'm going to search your body. And it was like, oh, no, you're not touching my temple. I'll leave. I've already had enough of that. Nobody's touching me.
If you've already gone in, one thing you can do to get a little bit faster, response, 3949A, and you walk it in and you have it stamped by the IRS agent.
Okay.
Get it filed directly.
Okay.
There's also a few other forms that you can do. There's a 13909.
Okay, that's an identity theft, right?
Nope, that one is actually a complaint against a nonprofit organization.
Okay.
Because they're claiming to be a nonprofit organization.
And they're not. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a for-profit.
They're actually most people think that they're classified under a 501c3. Parts of them might be, but for the most part, they're going to be classified under a 501c8 and 10 for the Masonic Brotherhoods, that stuff. So, and the other ones you can do, let's see here. Sorry, just bringing them up. There's also a 10301. That one is for a CD authorization code, encryption authorization code for a CP 2100. and a 972 CG. The CP 2100 is what's it called? My brain just went blank. False filing, frivolous filing complaint. What you're doing is, and that 972 CG is actually a tax lien that you initiate, but the IRS follows through for you. What that CD authorization code, I heard you talking about the CAF number.
Yeah.
Right. You actually have to fill out the 8821 in a specific way in order to get that CAF number.
Okay. I felt like I was missing something because they just didn't respond. 88.
It does right in the instructions. It's like in the CAF place, I think it's in parentheses, you have to put none. But double check that because it's been a minute since I read them a couple months ago. But the nice thing about the 10301 is what that does is it gives you the authorization codes, which you can fax in. I suggest faxing things in. If you're going to fax anything, either get it stamped by a notary, have witnesses, or put a postal stamp on it and cancel it so you've paid the tax.
Yeah. I do that on everything I'm depositing. I always put a canceled stamp.
And if you're signing that at a 45-degree angle, do not go from the bottom left to the top right.
Okay. Why not?
Something I found out this summer doing some research on some genealogy, actually, on a last name. Found out that the name actually came back and meant a band Dexter. What a band Dexter means is on a shield, a sigil, family crest.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the shield, if you have a horizontal stripe, or a diagonal, going from the top right down to the bottom left, it actually was a symbol of bastardy.
Oh my God. So how do we sign it then?
Opposite, from the top left down to the bottom right. If it's a public document. If it's a public document, you want to put your signature and everything on the left-hand side. If it's a private document, on the right. Because you got to look at it from, on the other side of the paper, you're walking through the mirror. Reverse it.
Okay.
Because the right side of the document is in the public is that's the naughty side, right? The sinister side. Dexter side.
Oh, I've been doing all my documents right.
No, I did the. Don't worry, I did it too. We all make mistakes. We just gotta learn from them. That's one thing I think we have a really hard time. Our society's horrible about is, we make mistakes and we don't forgive ourselves or others for them. Mostly ourselves, and we just hold it inside, and then we, project that on other people.
Yeah.
Which is then you have all the egotistical, reactions.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And this video is on YouTube. It'll be on YouTube, so we can go back and rewatch it and
Good.
everything.
Well, and let me finish that 10301. The reason why you do that, it gets you a CAR number, central, it's authority registration, something like that. Too many damn acronyms, man. And
They love them, don't they?
Oh, they do. But if you fax it in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you make sure there's a cover sheet. Always a cover sheet. Make sure there's
I
a
always
transmittal.
do.
Yeah. Okay. Make sure you need to record that number in a book, in your own records book. Put a book and page number on it, so it's recorded.
Mm-hmm.
And yours. You keep the original.
Right. Always.
They get a copy. And if you fax it into the IRS and you have that transmittal number, according to the IRS, that is considered filed.
Awesome.
If you want to go through the post office, you need to get a firm book and have the postmaster stamp the documents as well as the firm book. Make sure you put it in right. You can have the postmaster help you and have them cancel the stamp in your firm book. Keep the receipt with that page, and then you can send it that way. Again, copy, not the original.
Got you. I have had a firm mail book for 2 years, and I don't know if you've seen the body cam footage, but the police come across this firm mail book and it's full, and he's like, flips to a page and he's like, Arkansas Secretary of State. They seriously just leave my book. Yep.
That's a firm
And
mailing book.
I always cancel the stamp. I just got a new one, but mine have been destroyed almost full. And they've been destroyed twice now with canceled stamps. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why we need to keep a separate record in a record book. So like you
Okay.
can go to Office Depot or Staples, whatever, you can get them online, but you get a record book, or you can go to tops.com. Funny enough,
You can print
TOPS.
these pages out. You know that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
You can
can.
print these out, create your own book.
Yep, you can. But if you just you need to get a leather bound book. That's your record book.
Okay.
That's something. It's something you can pass down. It's our record, right? Because
Right.
the IRS is actually the registrar for the record index of life. They keep the
Wow.
book of life.
Oh,
But
I
the
was
book of
just
life-
talking about that. Oh my gosh.
The book of life is where you keep dead things, or you record dead things.
Okay.
It's not the book of the living. The book of the living is different. That's
Okay.
what we write. And that's what we have to
Okay.
keep. We have to keep our own book. Because right now they're all presuming that we're dead and lost at sea, right? But get a record book, make sure it has a book and page number, or has page numbers on there. And I always take the CPU that is on the packaging, if there is any, and I put that on the inside, tape it in. I'll use that as a barcode, and I also use put barcodes on all my documents. I use the Priority Mail Express ones, the labels,
Mhm.
because that's what they use. If you notice on those, it says EI before the number. That's
Yep.
an E or I bond.
E or I bond. Okay.
Mhm.
You want me to show that again? Jeez.
Pull
I
it
have
back a little bit.
I have a whole bunch of these.
Yeah.
Blurry.
Hold on.
It doesn't want me to show it, but
Yeah.
I have a whole bunch of these
Oh,
right
yeah.
here.
Yeah. Do you have
Yep,
a virtual
I have like my little
background?
mini post office with me too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Make
virtual
sure you have like
background.
the green signature cards. I go and raid the post office, whatever's out, I'll grab it.
Yeah, they refused to give me registered mail slips. They gave me 5, and I was like, I definitely need more than that. And they were like, well, you're gonna have to order them. So I just ordered them off of the USPS. They said 5 to 7 business days though. So
You can also, I would go ahead and set up a business gateway, business
got it.
portal.
I got
Awesome.
a trust
And if
account.
you're having a hard time with registered mail labels, find a CPU that's around you.
Okay, CPU. What's that stand for?
Certified Postal Unit. They're like, franchised mini post offices.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'm guessing you have a PO box.
Well, I did, but I
Okay.
set up a general post I set up general post delivery at the post
Okay.
office.
I actually go through, I have a virtual business PO
Mhm.
box where they sign for it. So you have an acceptance agent that signs for all of your mail. And there's a record of
Okay.
it. And there's
I-
another record to back up your stuff. And
Okay.
the one I found, she's a public notary, not a notary public, which means it's land record.
Yes, I've been trying to find one of those.
Postnet.
Postnet. Okay.
But that 10301, to get back to this.
Okay.
So when you send that out, fax it to them, and then you can call them right after if you fax it and request the number. They'll give you a number right away. They'll send you a CD with the forms for CP 2100 and a 972 CG. Now you can send that out as a frivolous filing to whatever entity is filing documents in your name. What it also does is, because you have to attach a power of attorney to that form,
Okay.
it knocks out every prior power of attorney.
That's what I'm looking for. Awesome. Thank you.
And once you do that, I would do the 15227 and lock it.
Okay. Yeah. And that's what all this stuff that you're telling me was what I was learning right before they locked me up. Is this. I was like, okay, this is it. I have tried everything else. This has got to be the avenue, is the IRS and, the CAF number. I had heard of that car number. So.
And you can actually, for like doing a revocation of power of attorney, fiduciary, designee, nominee, custodian, guardian, because they're claiming to be the sovereign guardian. Don't you love it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they get after us for sovereign citizen. Well, you guys are claiming to be sovereign guardian. Really? Really?
Right. They're the citizen. Yeah, I just
yeah. Hypocritical much, but
right.
you can actually what I do, read the instructions for all the forms that you're going to be using, but I write a letter, a
Okay.
handwritten letter, and I make sure that I incorporate what needs to be, what information they need
Okay.
on that form, and I put it in a letter, handwritten.
Okay.
I keep the original, front and back, handwritten. Don't leave the back empty.
Right.
Because then they can flip it over, and say nothing's there.
Yeah.
Or somebody else can fill it in for you. But I put the form numbers at the top so the IRS can index it. Make sure that you include enough copies for each indexing. So each form that you need, that you put at the top, say you put, 2848, 8821 in the 56. Because you're revoking, right?
Right.
You need to print out 3 copies and send it to them, or fax in and just give them instructions on that cover letter, a transmittal. And the transmittal for the 2848 is the 8849 form.
Okay. And so you're telling me I don't fill out the forms. I just I fill it out on my paper and then send it to them with a blank form.
You can do it that way. If it's something like a financial record, like some kind of money transfer where there's actually value, whatever being transferred, anything that's in red boxes on the paper forms, or they actually file in online as red too, because the registrar cannot see in color. So they can't see those red boxes. So those boxes don't exist.
Okay.
So it actually gets filed as a record, not as it doesn't get sent to your dummy file is what it's called. Because you have your master file, you have your individual business file, or you have your individual business file, and then you have your, personal file. A dummy file, or dummy module is what it's called, is a file that is attached to each one of those, where forms go that, shouldn't be filed with that entity or by that entity, but they have to put it on the record somewhere. So they put it in the dummy module to record it until it gets rebutted. And if you send something in that you're not, that you don't sign and it has to be signed, that goes to the funny box. Yes, there's something called the funny box. That's where forms go to die. So make sure you read that. There's actually publications on
That's hilarious.
what I know, right? What needs to be included for you to make your own forms, because we can make our own forms. That's what everyone else is doing. I've been able to actually backtrace a lot of the court forms, sheriff's forms, business forms, hotel registry. I mean, everything. The GSA bonds, they're all IRS forms, just their version. That's all. And the IRS publications for the requirements for that are 1179, 1167, and there's another one I always forget. It's 1040 something. Hold on, let me look it up. But as long as you include everything that they need, that means that you don't have to actually follow the form exactly and precisely. Because I know a lot of people who have been trying to get the 2848 through, or the 8821, and it gets kicked back because it wasn't done, quote unquote, correctly. Okay. If we don't use that form and we don't, prescribe directly to their specific instructions, because we do have to remember that they work for us, we the people collectively, right?
Right.
Because we the people are sovereign. So get them to work for you. And the other publication here, hold on. Give me a minute on that one. But that's 10301. You know how a lot of people say that they got a frivolous filing complaint from the IRS?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's basically a notice saying that you filed a, bunk document.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't fix it or correct it, then it'll be followed up with the 972 CG, which is a tax lien on all your shit.
Oh.
Here's the thing. Everybody thinks that those forms are coming from the IRS. They're not.
Wow.
That 10301
Mm-hmm.
USDD with those forms on it that look like they're from them. And you send them out. That's what all these companies are doing. So all of the frivolous filing complaints, they're actually coming from a company. The IRS just enforces them because that's what they do. That's, they're the bookkeeper. They have to balance the books.
Wow.
And they have to balance the books because right now you have the US corporation that's winding down. They're dissolving it. So their back's up against the wall. That's why they were trying to get on so many new agents. Because the books are way out of whack. They've been filing tax liens and insurance claims on our estates. So it looks like we're in bad fault or dishonor.
Yeah.
Because they're saying that, we're the ones that are perpetrating and they're the ones that are trying to fix it. That's where the identity theft comes in. And TIGTA actually doesn't really deal with identity theft. IRS does. TIGTA does deal with fraud. And
TIGTA just deals with fraud.
Yep.
Okay. Have you heard of a FinCEN 101?
Yes.
I filed one in jail.
Okay. Did you see any repercussions or?
No, I mean, I didn't hear back, but I read the instructions. I got the instructions and I sent the FinCEN 101 in, and then I have the FinCEN 114, but I didn't get to finish that before because I was busy because I had sent them all like a fiduciary appointment and I did so much stuff, but
I would not appoint them as fiduciary because they are already supposed to be fiduciary. You can actually see that if you go to the county forms. Or the state forms too, at the county, you can go to the public trustee website and it literally says that you have to hire them. So we technically hired them when we were, born and our person was birthed. They're already fiduciary. They're not doing their job.
Exactly. I just appointed them as fiduciary trustees and put it on the record and sent them Form 56s to close the estate or to do all the taxes on their shit that they created.
The problem is they're not doing what they're supposed to do in the first place. So
Right.
Filing that form, it's like going you being Jack and going up to the giant and kicking the giant in the shin.
Well, I sent that Form 56 to the remittance building when I did the W-4 process against.
I would repeal those W-4s, write a letter saying you repeal them.
Okay. I figured I messed up because I was like, I think I should be doing like a 1040 in R or like, but I put that I was in involuntary servitude and they were using this number and making me an employee. So I wanted them to do
some of the courts are, but some of them are not. Here's the thing with the W-4. It does work on utilities because basically everything I've come across, the utilities company, they are hiring a person, right?
Right.
The courts though, because they're every state runs their stuff different. Every county runs their stuff different. It just depends. Most of them are not going to actually do that because they're going to do it as a private contract and file the 1099s instead.
Okay.
The W-4 is actually something we're supposed to be filing because technically we're the employer. Like I said, we the people, right? They're all bankrupt.
Yeah.
So the whole deal in 1933 was that they would take care of all of our expenses, our immediate costs, and we would help them, reduce the debt.
Right.
The setup for that was the Social Security number is actually only supposed to be used until you're 18. Then you're supposed to switch to an EIN. What's supposed to happen is, we're supposed to employ or partner up with that employer and employ our person. But since they have no money, we actually pay our person wages from our estate. And then we actually get compensation for our time and labor that we volunteer, right? That's why we keep the W-4. W-4 is a bond. It's a contract, not something that should be used lightly. It even says in the instructions, you should not be filing a whole bunch of those. I know a lot of people have been getting back frivolous filings for those. We're supposed to be doing that as the employer, but you have to have an EIN and you have to actually set yourself up as an employer. You can't do this from the person. And I'm saying this to everyone, get an EIN of some sort. Don't do a sole proprietor. I would suggest an LLC, S Corp. I'll go into that in a second. But if you're operating from the person or that personal side, it puts you in a bad standing. It basically makes it look like you think you are that person. You are that thing. You know, I look at it as my, dead twin.
So is that I did that wrong then? I did it. I have an estate EIN and I got it.
Did you estate EIN?
Yeah, and it came back with an
Does it
EX beside it. So they recognize it's an executrix. I have the
Don't
EIN.
use executrix. Don't use that term.
Don't.
Well,
Okay.
here, let me ask you a question. Can a piece of paper have a gender or an ethnicity?
No, so it's executor.
Yep.
Okay.
But there's another title to that in every trust and every estate. Because trusts by nature are inequitable, okay? Because you always have another party that is making decisions for two others. They're naturally inequitable, and they're also naturally within the court's jurisdiction. Let me say that again. They're naturally within the court's jurisdiction because the courts operate solely from trusts. I know because I have a trust that is like the kind that they use to rob trusts. My parents made it for me. It's called the Irrevocable Generation Skipping Spendthrift Trust. Floyd had a woman on not too long ago. She was a clerk from Alabama, I believe.
Wow.
It was about in the first 15 minutes. She mentioned that all the judges and lawyers were operating from what's called a dynastic trust. Same thing. This is just a long-winded version of it, or name for it. Dynastic trusts are what Rockefellers and all that use. It's your family bank. They're funded by very specific life insurance policies called universal or permanent life insurance with a rider's rider. What that means is it's one of the very few financial vehicles that is completely tax exempt and penalty free, interest free, it has interest, but you don't get dinged for it. And you can actually withdraw or borrow up to 80% of the total value without any interest or penalties. Tax exempt. But what this does is it takes the interest and income that's generated from those life insurance policies and health insurance policies, and it reinvests them into new policies until you have a whole bunch of little ones, and then goes zoom, and then creates a big one again, and it just keeps going. That's why these accounts are considered infinite, because they're just constantly reinvesting in themselves. It's that coupled with the fact that nobody can actually predict your productivity in your lifetime. So they have to be infinite.
So they just keep hypothecating them.
It's not so much hypothecating, it's more the interest and income that they use to reinvest in it, which is how the original system was set up. That's why we pay our person from our estate, because it's constantly generating revenue or income. It's considered revenue there, but we're supposed to use that W-4 as a contract bond and keep the original, give them a copy. Then you actually file the W-2 and the W-3. Has to go with the W-3. The W-2 is actually a lien on that bond for performance and payment. It says in the instructions too, on the W-2, please read the instructions. On the second page, first column in paragraph, I believe, that if the amount in the taxes where it says Social Security taxes is equal to or more than 0, it is automatically void. We're supposed to be filing that to recoup our expenses for paying our person, and also to claim our, share of that income for compensation, because we volunteer our time and labor. You're supposed to file that with the 941 form, which is a quarterly filing, or 944, not a 1040. 1040s are used for other businesses that we might have that might be, taxable. But when it comes to our estate, you do have to file a final 1041 when you get your decedent estate. And since you have, do the 1041T.
Okay.
It's going to switch over your accounting method, which is another thing people should look into.
Yeah. I know.
Um,
I feel like I messed up bad. I need to, I did so many W4s.
This is one thing that I found about the IRS, not the Internal Revenue Service, two totally separate. I mean, IRS is basically Mama Corp. Internal Revenue Service is a subsidiary of. Okay. Internal Revenue Service will nail your ass to the wall. So be careful with them. IRS, on the other hand, they're very equitable.
Okay.
Because they have to be. They were put in a position of a referee, qualified intermediary. It's the only way they can justify this whole system. They had to have one impartial party. It's a bookkeeper, because math doesn't lie, right?
Yeah.
Unless we fudge the numbers, but even then you can fix it. And one thing I have found with the IRS, not the Internal Revenue Service, just to clarify, but the IRS, if you make a mistake and you let them know, or if they call you and say you made a mistake, you can be like, sorry, can you help me fix that, please? And they will.
Okay. Whew.
They also deal, this is another place where the courts are cashing in big, is the IRS has, have you ever heard of the fire system, right?
The what? I didn't hear you.
Fire system. Mm-hmm. It's for filing the informational returns for the most part, but they also have another system called the AIR system.
Okay.
That is that's for your healthcare. It's the ACA, Affordable Health Care Act.
Oh.
And in there, that's where they're tapping into all of your healthcare, funds. Because just like the life insurance policies, which by the way are healthcare, there's also, health insurance policies, also known as point man policies. There's things in there like there's a blank coupon, which is a check, but in order to file those, you have to have your MAC number from the Bureau of Fiscal Services. Your MAC number is a Medicaid and Medicare administration certification. But if you're filing any 1099s, you need to do it online.
Okay.
It says in the general instructions. 1099 online is a good one. Tax 1099. The only time you want to use the paper form is basically when you're printing out a copy of it that's already been filed.
Okay.
Because if you look on, there's a interesting little factoid. If you take a check paper,
Yep.
the ones that have 3 on them, put it right up to a paper 1099, matches perfectly. And if you scan it in, it's black and white. Those red boxes don't show up. But that's more of a receipt kind of thing. But if you're going to be filing any of the 1099s, read the instructions. If you're going to be doing anything with the fair market value, and those two amounts, they're both sides of the ledger. So we have to realize that. So for instance, like I helped some people use a 1099-C to cancel out mortgage, right?
Mm-hmm.
People think that they're using the C to acquire the actual property. They're not. It's the note, the contract that is attached to that property. That's the fair market value. The debt to be canceled is whatever they're claiming. But But the fair market value, you actually have to go back, for instance, for a house. You have to go to the county site for the assessor and see what the assessment, the tax assessment is for the value of that house. And you'll see that that amount does not match up because it's whatever is the negotiable instrument, whatever value is left, taxable value that they have, and then they can actually, tax and collect. That's the fair market value. And everyone's going to be different because everybody does their books different. So you actually have to go through and like calculate and see how that entity, that bank or whatever is doing their books. You make sure that the interest, penalty payments, all that kind of stuff is taken out. That gets put into, if you're doing a 1099-C, it gets put into box, is it for the interest? That makes them claim their income and have to pay, taxes on that income. But the 1099-B is the one that you actually use for the allocation, who gets what and what goes where. But at the C, if you're filling it out like a 1099-A and C combo, read the instructions, but it says you have to fill in boxes 4, 5, and 7 in order for that to be a acquisition and a cancellation. Because what you're doing, you're not acquiring the property. What you're doing is you're acquiring the notes, the negotiable instruments off the market. So say if you're trying to access the account to fund something, a 1099-A is not going to do it, because if you just file a 1099-A, you actually have to wait for a year until you file the C. It's a put. 1099-A is gambling. You're gambling that that value or that negotiable instrument is either going to maintain its value, or you're gambling that you're going to get rid of it and abandon it because it's not. If we don't give instructions with what we want to do, a cover letter, a 1099-6 is a cover letter. We need to write our own, though, handwritten. Tell them what we're trying to do, because otherwise it's just assumed it's abandoned. That's the only way that any of these entities can actually claim property. It's all based on adverse possession. So if you don't specify, then they're going to assume it's abandoned and claim it. That's why so many people have been having problems with the 1099-A. If you acquire, you do the A and C combo, like all at once, what it's doing is, say, I don't know, for a car, whatever. I wouldn't use it for a car specifically. I'm just saying this is an example, so don't go running buck wild without reading instructions. Just a caveat there. What you're doing on the debt to be canceled is going to be the amount that, is going to be canceled. The fair market value is the amount of negotiable instruments that are going to be issued on the market and sold for you to actually fund that account. What the C does, you do it all together, is it's taking those negotiable instruments off the market and calling them. 1099-C is a call.
Calls. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So it sells them. So if you do it before, the bell, then you should have it go through by 3:23 that morning if you're sending it to someone. Don't send it to the CFO or the CEO or any of the C whatevers. Don't do that. Send it to the invoicing department.
Invoicing department. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep, accounts receivable. That's where you want to send it. That, or if they have a comptroller or controller for the currency, send it there. The CFO does not deal with books. They just, oversight, right? It's the people underneath that actually, do the books. That's who you're going to want to talk to. Everybody's going straight to the top, and they're looking over the fact that those are not the people that actually do the work.
Yeah.
If anybody's worked in a business or like a corporation or anything, you'll know that. I did accounts receivable and payable for a few companies, and yeah, our CFO never did any of that. I did. Yeah, so I'm like, why? For For instance, I use this actually to pay for a hotel from March until August.
Wow.
So use a 1099-C. The account information, there's a few things you can do. If you're trying to draw from your estate, you can use a social as account number.
Okay.
If you're trying to attach it to something, like when I did the reservation, I used the account number as the reservation number. And I put that in the description as well. So you're going to put whatever identifying numbers for those documents. That's what you're putting in the description. It's the documents are the titles that we're actually obtaining, not the physical. The tangible follows it, but things like for a house, you actually use a 1099-S. That's for real estate, property, aka car. You're trying to tap into the estate and get a return directly. It's 1099-R. There's a whole bunch of these.
Yeah. I saw that today because I ordered the forms.
Yep. I mean, you can use those for receipts and fill them out and print out the online and have a copy and, give them the copy, and you can keep the original, the front page. But I mean, you can make up your own account number as well.
Okay.
But all of this stuff needs to be recorded in your own records book. We have to start keeping our own records. And it's even better if you have someone to, record it in their book and they can record it in your book. That way we have someone to cross-reference or verify and validate that record with. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
You can even publish it in the library. I would suggest doing that. Libraries are key. But the revocation, just getting back to this really quick, if you're going to do any kind of revocation, you need to appoint right after that. And I would appoint someone that you actually know and trust, and
That's hard.
not Janet Yellen. Someone that actually you can actually be like, hey, can you do this for me? Or, even better yet, yourself. Or, I have different persons, my puppets that I use. It's another option. But once you do that appointment, you also have to do an acceptance. This is where a lot of people don't get. When you appoint somebody appoints Janet Yellen, and you do not hear an acceptance from Janet Yellen. They don't send you something back saying, I accept. You can't find anything on the record where they accept that appointment. And guess what? Didn't stick.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because it's when it comes to that, it has to be a meeting of the minds.
Yeah.
So that's one reason why trusts are inequitable, except for two kinds, because it's not a meeting of the minds.
Right.
Cooperative trust can be, but that's getting more. Cooperative trusts are basically LLCs, S corps, corporation sole, right? S corp. Also, companies, that kind of thing. That's that's a cooperative trust. People aren't looking at the business aspect of it all. Trust is just another form of business. It's a holding company.
Yeah.
But it's an inequitable one because you're basically saying that you can't do it yourself. So someone else is going to have to do it for you. An irrevocable trust and an estate, different. Because those are the two forms that you can be, one or your entity, your family, whatever, can hold all the titles. So for instance, in a trust, you have a grantor, right? In an estate, you have a settlor or trustor. In a trust, you have trustees, plural, because there's two titles that they're going to be operating. If it's set up properly, you're going to have at least 3 trustees, because there's going to be the one that holds the legal title, one that holds the equitable, or one that holds the fiducial title, and then one that acts as a, referee, qualified intermediary. That's the IRS. And then you have on the estate side for that, you have an executor and administrator. And the tiebreaker in that one is called a protector.
I like that.
So the administrator is the one that holds the legal title. Executor holds the fiducial title. Okay. And on the trust side, you have a beneficiary. Just to knock this out, beneficiaries do not have any rights. They don't even have a right to know that the trust exists, let alone appoint anyone. So I know this from firsthand experience.
Damn.
So don't do that.
Yeah.
They hold the equitable title, which means that all you can do is benefit. That's it. That's the only thing you can do. On the estate side, there is what's called an heir. An heir is a very important term. I want you guys to start using that term because an heir doesn't just hold the equitable title. An heir actually has the ability, capability, and right to remove executors and remove administrators and protectors with a vote. Because the heir actually holds all titles. An heir and the representative too are the only titles that you can actually hold as living. The rest are dead offices, dead entities. So like the executor doesn't appear in court. That's why when somebody passes, you ever notice they take that estate and all of a sudden you get assigned a trustee because they can't deal with the estate. It's not in their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Why they put all of our estates under trusteeship, because trusts are definitely in their jurisdiction. That's how
You
they
put
make
a
them.
lot of puzzle pieces together, girl.
Glad I could help.
Because I'm going back and forth between the estate and the trust. No wonder, I'm thinking, okay, I'm saying
We do
beneficiary.
agree, though, because when they put our estate under trusteeship, right,
Mm-hmm.
became part of the public trust. We're technically, here's another term I want you, well, two terms I want you guys to write down. Benefactor, which holds all titles, because you're contributing, controlling, and benefiting. And ultimate beneficial owner. That ultimate part is important. It's a buddy of mine that found that one. And I wasn't the only one that found all this stuff. This is like a culmination of a whole bunch of people's experiences and just a lot of guinea pigging.
Thank you for sharing so much.
Oh yeah. If it helps, it helps. I can help you with the C if you want for your husband. Because that one gets tricky. It's again the state, because I know where I'm at. Every charge is caps out at 25,000. Because in the IRS, if they go above 25,000, it sets off a little red flag, right? There was a letter from the Bureau of Fiscal Management and Services, 2017, that basically said that they will no longer be cashing any checks from any agency that was above $99,999,999. And the Department of Treasury, which is not to be confused with the Department of the Treasury, separate entities.
Whoa.
Confusing. They don't cash anything under 100 million. You got 99 cents to work with there, where you can basically freeze it. They have to wait for you and the parameters that you give in order to access it.
So that's the same number that's on the CP 575.
Coincidence, huh? No. That's what we're supposed to reposit.
Gosh, you blow my mind. Girl. Wow.
That's how we fund our estates or our businesses. It issues those securities. But you need to also call in and get your LTR for that entity, your LTRC. And when you call in for that, you can ask for the confirmation or certification number, classification number, credit, because it's a letter of credit.
Yeah. Let me try to
So-
track that down.
But you have to call and ask for it. I even have the number here, 1 second. And you got to call in, get your LTRC, LTR. Yep. So when you reposit that CP 575, before you guys do this, do the revocations and the appointments and the acceptance, please. And you need to, when you revoke, you need to revoke all past, present, and future.
Okay.
And then appoint anything that you sign from here on out, restricted endorsement. And that you're going to do your own byline. Don't sign on top of their line. Most of the time, that's microprint, about 80% of the time. So you don't want to be applying to those terms. And so make your own byline and make sure there's an office attached to it. So, by : however you want to sign. I would suggest separating, if you're going to sign using your own name, say you're operating as an executor.
Yeah,
So
I
put,
put
like, your
occupant
first
office
initial.
of the executor.
Good job. Put your first initial, period, last name, comma, EX. So you're differentiating between what title you're operating and what quote unquote person you're using. Just like they did different versions of our name for the birth certificates, which by the way is a shipping form. We have to do the same with, how we sign. The number, before I go score over here. Too many notes. Here we go. It is the business and specialties line. It's 1-800-829-4933. It's Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. local time. If you're having problems getting your CAF number, which I heard you were,
Yeah.
you need to call the practitioner priority service number when you're ready.
Girl, you're a rock. Okay, what's that number?
866-860-4259. Again, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. There's also a 911 form. Yes,
Heard of
there's a
that.
911 form. What do you do? Yeah, it's, they tell
Advocate,
us when we're
right?
young. Yep, taxpayer advocate.
Yeah,
But
that's what I
you
was
can
going in
call
there
that
today for.
number. Oh, okay. Call the number.
Okay.
There's a number on there. It's 877 number. And here's where a lot of people mess up. They're going to call in and don't go for the personal side. Always go for business. If they give you an option, go for the business side. Because there's a difference between the personal, public, and business, private. Because, you go to the personal side and it goes, what do you want? Right? They're annoyed. They don't want to deal with you. You call the business side, right? How may I help you today? You'll be able to tell almost right off the bat. Another question they're going to ask you pretty much right off the bat, and do not be scared about giving them your freaking social. They have it.
I know,
They
right?
have all the records. They do. They have it all. They have it all. I mean, the Lexus, if you ever get your LexisNexis report, like your full on report,
Mhm.
mine had the color, the stain from my house when I was the first house I lived in. So I was like 6, and the brand. They have the information. Just get over it.
Wow.
So yeah. Give them the social, because they're not asking. They rarely ask you for your name so much as who you are. which is a difference, right?
Mhm.
So if you say you're the executor or the administrator of that estate,
Mhm.
yeah, it's going to separate you from the person. For them, it's telling them that, you know the difference. Then they're going to ask you, when was the last time you paid taxes? This is where 95% of people mess up. I totally did too the first time. Because I called him back and I actually had to call him right back. And I was like, oh, that was stupid. Why did I do that? It's like a knee-jerk reaction. Because we're like, oh, like 2017. No, don't do that. We as a living are not required to pay taxes.
That's right. I don't pay taxes. I haven't paid in like
But my
12 years.
businesses might. So which business are you referring to?
Oh,
I have a few. See, there is a difference. Some of our businesses, if they're not structured correctly, or if we structure them in a particular way, like a sole proprietor, are liable for taxes.
Mm-hmm.
If you get into another situation like set it up correctly with an S corp, you can actually pay taxes to yourself. Dun dun dun. So, and while we're at that, look into the 2553 form. That's an election for an LLC to be treated as an S corp. Do that for your person. It restructures your business because right now it's classified as a sole proprietor or a single member LLC, a disregarded entity, a pass-through. Our social security number, security, also called a SIN number in Canada, social insurance number, and in England, it's a national insurance number. It's our insurance.
Yeah.
If you don't attach it to your business is not insured. Use it as your insurance because that's what it is. It's supposed to take the hit, not us. Right now, they have it set up where it passes. It's a ghost, right? Passes straight through it and hits you.
Yeah.
So another way that they've made us what's called an accommodation party. It's
Mm-hmm.
all the responsibility and liability of the trustee with none of the benefits of the beneficiary.
Yep.
Because our beneficiary is of the public trust of that estate until it's changed, is our, person, straw man, decedent. I like to call it my dead twin because it's the, the placenta and the blood
Yes.
that they took. Yep.
Yep.
If you look under Title 1, USC 8, Section 8, it'll explain right there where a person, child, individual, and what alive is versus living. Alive is just a pulsating of that umbilical cord or placenta. That's all it has to do is pulsate. So living.
I put that in my paperwork to Tulsa County. I put that I'm not an accommodation party, that, you're referring to the placenta.
You need to do, and your husband needs to do this too, notice of appearance.
I did special appearance.
Nope.
No,
not special. No, this is what I know, because we think special. And we're like, oh, we're special, right? They think special and they're like, special, like tap you on your head and put you back in the corner kind of thing.
Okay. What is it? Man.
Because think of this, in like school and stuff, they had special classes.
Special
what were those for? Yep. You be disabled now. Woohoo! Now they have jurisdiction. So just a notice of appearance. Okay. To the Department of Labor, as well as the Attorney General, state, and the DOJ. The head judge for your judicial district. But send it to the board, Department of Labor.
What on this notice of appearance, what then are you saying? Executor?
Well, why trusts were set up in the first place? It was actually constructed by Eleanor of Aquitaine when the Crusades started in 1099. Get it? Yeah. Fun, right? Everyone went off to the Crusades, right? So all the lords are gone, so there's no one to actually watch all the fiefdoms. So everybody started raiding and pillaging, killing all the serfs and burning everything. So in order to preserve everything, she was allowing people to, be guardian or custodian, a trustee of those lands while the Lord was gone. So it was under trusteeship, right? That estate.
While the Lord was gone.
Yep. And if no heir appeared for 100 years, that family could claim the whole estate, including the lineage of that family.
Wow.
That's one reason why these estates or these trusts, that irrevocable generation skipping spendthrift trust, they're actually only allowed in, I found 6 states, I think there might be 9, but they're only statutorily allowed in those. They're also required to dissolve after 90 years because they're so monopolistic. So what these families have done to get around that is, because how they're structured, they're familial trust, right? So it's the grandparent that creates the trust. They put that estate under trusteeship. Like mine was actually funded with life insurance policies on my dad, not my mom. She was smart, but my dad. And he's the settlor or the trustor of that estate. Okay. I was named as the primary beneficiary. That means that I'm not the intended. So when I came of age, I was supposed to be able to collect the income and interest that trust generated, tax-free. That's the generation skipping, because it skips the tax liability, skips a generation. The intended beneficiary is the grandchild. They're allowed to, claim the entirety of the res of that estate or trust. So these get a little bit, the spendthrift part, that basically means that the trustees have total, basically they get to make the decisions no matter what. The primary beneficiary or the child of that settlor can be skipped. It can be changed. They can't be taken out, but they can be declared or deemed incompetent. And I've only met one other with one of these trusts privately, except for we all have one because this is the cess-decay. This is how it's set up. Yeah. I can actually prove that because I did my birth certificate and my daughter's, there's a barcode next to the file number. I scanned them. I did a Google search for it. And on both of them, the third option, the first time I did this, came back to a voter registration number for my biological grandmother on my mom's side. My mother was adopted, by the way. And it follows the matrilineal side. Sorry, guys. But it follows the mom, just like a legal title for tangible assets, things that you can touch. The woman naturally holds that because we can prove we're living because we give life. Unfortunately, guys, you can't. Sorry. That's why you guys hold the fiducial title, executor. You hold the intangible, the notes, all that, the financial side, right? They've actually, in 1924, I believe it was, they passed an act that basically made all women and children disabled from the get-go, which really puts a kink in things because the reason why we take the last name, I used to think it was because the man's side was putting like a lien or something on the woman's family's estate or something. Nope. Come to find out, we adopt the name, their last name, to legitimatize them. because they can't prove who the father is. You can't prove the father's side or the patrilineal side. So we adopt the name. Totally reverse of what we've been taught, because even in especially noble families, monarchies, all that, they're always going to be checking the matrilineal side, not the patrilineal side, because they can't verify or validate it. You can verify or validate the matrilineal. So as far as bloodlines and everything, that's what they follow. As far as inheritance goes, same thing. I know, Floyd, you had something about, you had beef with Anna von Reitz, that she's a piece of work, dude. I actually found in her paperwork, she's claiming people's lineage, their whole family, just by how she's having them sign. There's
It's incredible.
after their name, they'll like sign their name and then in parentheses, they'll put NEE. You know, you guys remember Monty Python? The knights who say "ni," right? There's a reason for that. Ni or ne is referring to the matrilineal side, because you always put the, maiden name after ni, so they can trace the lineage. You'll see it in obituaries too, like death announcements, birth announcements. Which, by the way, we need to start publishing those, like our own publication of that, and record it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I had them all, the last three, like all natural, but we recorded it in our family records Bible. So we had everything recorded, but I didn't like take it and post it in the library, or when I got the affidavit of publishing from the newspaper, I went and posted it in the library and in the court.
So, okay, I'm glad you brought this up. I was able to actually find my birth certificate recorded in the county records as a deed. It has a parcel number.
Wow.
So, I have the book and page number, because they have us classified as mobile homes, land vessels, always moving, right? Look for a county association for your state, for the assessor and treasurer. There's a lot of forms in there that we need to start using, because those are basically the forms that they took that we were supposed to use to claim our estate. But what I found is the owner was specified ownership tax. That was what was named as the owner. The address was one of the courthouses in the county where I was born. It was the one that houses Department of Revenue and all that, motor vehicles. Not the courthouse everybody thinks. Everybody's trying to go through probate and everything. If you go through the IRS, by the way, they'll walk you through probate, forms 706 and 709, and 712. But back to this, they had the neighborhood was listed as 333, and it was a non-specified neighborhood. The parcel number, it wasn't because I actually found it with a parcel number, with a PIN number. It's a PIN, point of origin, right? In my county, they have it start with 2 specific numbers. And on our birth certificates in the state I'm in Colorado, they've already merged the titles, the county birth certificate with the state. So they're actually all on one. There's a barcode next to the file number. That's how I found it. So I'd use that number because it started with a 00, right? We all have a 00 number, an agent number. So I put the 2 numbers in front of that, and that's what found my PIN and their parcel number. This is what's great. It was 9 ones. They're so inventive. There's 2 records for that one though. I couldn't find it on the assessor's rolls or anywhere else. I found it actually under a property search. Just the property search. It's going to be different for every state. Like I said, they do things differently. So you're going to have to mess around with the numbers and, look at everything. And by the way, there's hidden barcodes and QR codes on a lot of these documents. I found it on my birth certificate and my daughter's in the corners under the state seal, under the notice part for the registrar, under the, where it said state of at the top, even in the watermark. Yeah. Get a QR scanner, start going to town. I've been able to get, Swift codes and a whole bunch of stuff out of that. But the interesting part about this was where it said bankruptcy. No. Did it owe tax? No. Wasn't delinquent. But there was another record that actually listed the mill levy tax, right? Mill levy goes back again to that lovely, where these trusts started, Crusades, right? Because there was always a mill tax to mill your grain, and they still charge that now, even though they ain't milling. Yeah, that's the mill levy. That's what that's for.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And the only thing that was on there for mine was a mill levy for a water district company that's in the same judicial district as the county I was born in, but one county over. Because if you look at the states on the private side, the state is a stewardship on the private side. Under the stewardship are townships. They're referred to as regions or districts, like water districts, utility districts, library districts, lots of districts, school districts. Ding, ding, ding. Court. District courts, yes. And I would revoke power of attorney for your sons and daughters if they ever went to any of that and have a library card, or revoke it.
I never put them in public school. They were taken from me without contract, and these people put them in school.
Did you ever take them to the doctor?
My youngest 3, never. I never took them to the doctor ever. Just my older 2.
No library, no programs, no nothing.
Nothing. We were completely out. Like I didn't have a telephone pole. I didn't have an address. We were completely out except
Did
for
you
the
go to a
fact.
church?
Nope.
Woo. Girl. Well, they probably got them through you then. Sadly. That's how they got mine. So
yeah, that's what I think is just because I didn't have my stuff in order. I thought I could just go.
It's the medical power of attorney that's the strongest thing.
Okay.
We never revoke the medical power of attorney. That needs to be done separately on its own to the hospital, to the county where you're born and where you live. The counties start off as ecclesiastical. They're the insurgents, usurpers. They have, and the municipalities. The only way they have any of their stuff is through squatters' rights. Adverse possession. Because adverse possession has to be open and hostile, right? Mm-hmm. Pretty sure they're hostile. They're definitely open.
Yeah. Definitely.
And every state has different adverse possession laws. It's you can actually, if you look at the states, you'll see why companies go to certain states for their businesses. For instance, Delaware, it's 30 years before you can adversely possess anything. However, places like New Mexico, 2 years.
Wow. Wonder what Arkansas.
I don't remember that one. I know Colorado is the only one I found that is 7 years with a deed and paying the taxes, and 18 years without. Curious numbers, right? With the deed, by the way, aka birth certificate. That's a deed. It's a tax lien. They've liened your stuff. Literally, they've claimed it as property, as a deed. we have to claim it back, record it as a deed, property of the estate. Get a parcel number. That parcel number is what you put on the record, nothing else. And if you take any documents in to get filed, it's the cover sheet and the signature page. The rest is private.
Okay.
But you just need to make sure that that's re-recorded and make sure that there's something on the back or an allonge is what it's called. You know, like, and don't authenticate your birth certificates, peeps. Seriously. It's a tax lien. When you authenticate their claim on your shit.
Fucking shit. Are you serious?
Yeah. The nice thing is there's multiple birth certificates. So they've only gotten that one.
Oh my gosh. I've done it twice now.
If you read the front page where it says greetings, you know, to all me and all men, these presents.
Yep.
Under there in small print, it says that it's annexing everything to that state. AKA quit claiming to the state, not you.
Dude, I've got to do so much revocation. It's unreal.
Just focus on getting the power of attorneys
Okay.
revoked, past, present, and future, appointing your own, making sure that no more will be appointed without your expressed, written, informed consent. Because here's the thing. They can appoint 2 power of attorneys per contract.
Wow.
And that power of attorney can appoint 2 fiduciaries. A fiduciary cannot appoint a designated nominee, however. That's why they want the power of attorney, because the power of attorney can. And there is no limit on how many designees or nominees. So that's where it's everybody's focusing on the fiduciary.
Yeah.
We don't even realize that, you know, when they take an estate and they put it under trusteeship, you know, when somebody passes, normally there's an executor appointed, right? Do you ever see anyone's will with an administrator appointed? Because the lawyers don't do that. So the court has jurisdiction to appoint one for you themselves.
Oh.
That's the public trustee.
Oh, you blew my mind. Thank you. The court kept trying to get me to go to a competency hearing. And in Tulsa, I've never seen them do so many competency hearings. Like everybody is going to a competency hearing. So when you said that earlier.
Whenever they do that, you can flip it on them really quick, really easily. You have to have some cojones to do this though. I won't lie, I was shaking like a leaf when I did it.
I got him, girls.
Like,
I'm not scared.
Well, because I was like, oh gosh, here we go. I don't know what they're gonna do. I asked the judge, do you need a mental health exam? She looked at me, huh? And I was like, you're supposed to order a copy of the person. Why didn't you order a copy of the person? Why am I even here? I'm not supposed to be in the public. Are you not competent to do your job? You need to order a copy of the birth certificate, a copy of the person. Why didn't you order that?
That's
to settle the matter. Because they're supposed to settle the matter. You're not supposed to be in there. That's where they go to play with dead things. You know, all rise.
Yep, exactly. We don't rise. My husband I was never in the courtroom where I could, but he sat there and the officer pulled him out of there because he was like, you're being disrespectful. And my husband was like, how can I rise? I'm not a part of this. I'm not a part of this ritual. I'm not dead. I'm living. I can't rise. He's not my master. And they took him back to the jail. And I mean, we stood in court there. When he told me that they were talking about a mental competency, and I said, okay, if you're going to make me go here, then a quid pro quo is in order and you're going to come with me. And they dropped it. Like that was the second time a mental competency was ever like tried or whatever. And I said a quid pro quo. I mean,
well, that's one reason why the letter of appearance or notice of appearance, to the Department of Labor, and I was taught this by someone else. And it's so important because, you know, all crimes are commercial.
Yep. 27 CFR 7211.
Mm-hmm. So if you appear, because they're what they're doing is they're pretending, the prosecutor's pretending that they're you,
Yeah.
that they're representing you, and that you're a trustee that has wronged that estate.
Right.
So
I'm not
you need
the
to
trustee.
appear- No. Well, you're also the grantor though too.
Yeah. So it does have fiduciary duties to the estate, right?
Well, the settler, which is what we actually are,
Okay.
is still liable. There's a reason. It's because it's a family. It's predicated off the family dynamic, right?
Mhm.
So if that grandparent or that settler chooses an unworthy, primary beneficiary or trustee, or an unworthy intended beneficiary or heir, that's on them. They're liable.
Okay.
But because what they do is they put it under, there's different parts of our estate. Everybody thinks it's like one thing. What they did is they separated it out. So when we were born and our person was birthed, right? In the birthing book, there's 4 copies when they fill it out. The original stays with the book. There's 3 carbon copies that get sent out. 1 to the county, 1 to the state, and 1 to the SSA. The original stays with the book. When it gets filled, it gets sent to not Puerto Rico, Kentucky,
What?
to the unemployment department, the CID, the IRS.
Oh, that's where I sent the CID. I sent them. That's where the criminal investigative divisions in Kentucky is where I sent my 3949As when I didn't get a response from Ogden, Utah.
They're drowning right now. That's one reason why they wanted some more help, because they're trying to balance the books, and
Okay.
they're auditing all the banks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Last year, they actually announced. Go ahead.
I can tell you for a fact that one of my viewers in Utah, his daughter works for the Ogden, Utah IRS, and clearly told him, look, 87,000 agents, are you freaking kidding me? The ones we have show up when they want to show up for work when they want to work, leave work when they want to work. It's yeah, it's a shit show in Ogden,
IRS
Utah.
agents, IRS agents, true agents are volunteers, by the way.
What? Are you serious?
Go look up a CPEO. Look that up. Let's see. Well, we're all IRS agents. Don't you know that? We're doing a shitty job, man. We're supposed to be auditing these people.
Yeah.
Do that. Yeah, because that's why
They educated us well, didn't they?
Oh, so well, right? Yeah, so incredibly well.
Did a freaking job.
Right? I mean, they don't teach bookkeeping. They don't teach like any kind of business structure, anything in school. And it's stupid. And then college isn't any better. And then when you actually do graduate, you guys ever notice how college, the graduation robes in high school kind of looks like a
satanic cult.
Well, like when a minister or priest dresses up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Look into an SS-16 form. That's an election for coverage. It's when an official or officer takes a vow of poverty to that religious order. And just like the birth certificate, there's 4 copies.
What?
By the way, the birth certificate is a postal form, declaration and dispatch note.
Declaration.
You can get them in the post office. They're out front.
The birth certificate?
No, well, I mean, what they make it from. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I love the post office.
It's an international shipping label. There's 4 copies. Each one gets its own barcode.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, and you need to notify the nuncio too.
The what?
Or the
Nuncio?
nuncio. Yep. That's in Vermont. That's the Pope's representative here.
Okay. And the NUNCO?
NUNCIO.
Yeah. Okay. In Vermont?
Yep.
And what
Vermont.
do I say to him?
We're the
Just,
handy
I'm age of majority. I claim my mind, body, and soul.
Age of majority that's one term, but so for instance, when I sent in my notice of appearance, it was not long. It was keep it short, because here's another question. Do you know anybody who reads past 2 pages, besides like us that have been through hell back?
No.
Why the hell do we think they're going to?
Right.
Sending them 40 pages of documents, they're just, no, don't do that. And the more you make it look like something that they're used to seeing, the more likely they are to file it. So doing something like, taking court forms, and you can, edit them. Just make sure down at the bottom where it has a version number, publishing number, and all that. Version, if it says version 2.0, but like version 2.578. Okay. Now it looks like something they're used to filing. You're not going to get nearly as much kickback. But letters are very notices.
I always do notices.
Notices of liability, very effective.
Yeah, that's so the last I think I told you, or I told them that was the last thing that I did before I got out of jail, was a notice of liability for using the social security number without my consent, the title 42-408 subsection
So
8.
how did you get out?
That's what I'm saying. I hit them hard. I hit them so hard with paperwork right before they let me out, and they kicked me out of jail. They were like, so I'm not leaving here without my husband. They came with me. They're like, no, you're leaving.
Right. Yeah. They did the same thing to this woman this summer. And I actually had her do a property release form too. She got the pink copy back and the yellow copy.
Yeah.
Like carbon copies. I had her flip it over and write on the back and send it through the mail that she released her body and her person to me to get her out. It's a release form, or considered property.
Right. Okay. So I have the pink slip because I was like, I'm not signing out of jail. I never signed into jail. But he made me, to get my husband's property, I had to get his wallet and his phone because I didn't have any funds or anything without that. I couldn't have made it out here without that. So they made me sign it. And I was like, well, I'll just turn this into a negotiable instrument. So I put like,
if he fills out another one, don't go pick it. If he fills out another one, don't go pick it up. Okay. Let it expire.
I know. How many days? 3 days?
I think it's like up here it was like 10, so it's not exactly short. But I mean, once it expires, they'll give him back pink copy and the yellow copy. Then he can flip it over and write on the back. Because the problem is in jail, I have proof of this one too. Because on some bond paperwork that I got for myself from a while back, I never filled it out, right?
Right.
Yeah, but they had put in my name, and they also marked me down as male. Because in jail, they don't want us operating the legal title. So we're all classified as guys. Or male. Male.
Yeah.
So that way we can operate the fiducial title and, pay them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's why it's female.
Yeah, I told this officer, don't call me that. I'm a woman.
Yeah, that's what you do.
I'm not a female. That's an animal. I'm a woman.
Right. Another thing you can hit them with, have you used the OMB or the OPM forms? Okay,
I've heard about those, but I have not dabbled in any of those. OMP and OMB, right?
OPM, Office of Personnel Management.
Okay.
And then the OMB is Office of
Budget.
Management of the Budget.
Yeah.
Or the ombudsman.
Yeah.
I used that one to get out of a solitary once. I was
in
there for
solitary
an hour and a half. They ended up getting an audit on the whole county for 3 months.
What?
You're hitting their grant money,
You're hitting what?
their grant money
Yeah.
from the Fed and from the IRS, because all the money comes from the IRS. The forms are all seriously if you start looking, if you start reading the publications,
Mm-hmm.
wow, everybody's looking for steps. Literally in some of these, it has step 1, step 2, step 3.
I love that.
There's also one you might want to look at, publication 1468. It's another way you can use the Internal Revenue Service, not the IRS, but Internal Revenue Service and Department of the Treasury to lien them, and they'll do it for you.
Yeah, girl. You talking my
If you look on-
language.
If you look on the form 56, but be careful with these and like read it all the way. Make sure you cross all your T's, dots all your I's, all that shit.
Yeah.
If you get your LTR too,
Mhm.
it'll actually come front to back. On the back side will be an agent. That'll be a point of contact for you.
Awesome.
If you use the 8655 form, you can appoint them as your filing agent, which means that they cannot sign for returns, but they can file documents for you. I would restrict that. You know, you can't file until you give them instructions, but
Right.
yeah, that one even has just like the 3112, that one has phone numbers on it, email addresses, a help desk.
Mhm.
There's this one, direct phone lines, all that. And if you go to form 56, the instruction, and start looking at the instructions before you look at the form, peeps, please. The instructions on where to file, there's a publication there. I think it's 4235 or 4532. I always get mixed up. But look on the instructions and it'll give you 2 pieces of paper on that publication. The first page gives you a list of publications where you can find, you know, all pertinent information for liens. The second page gives you an office per state, one per state, that you can use a 56F. Make sure you put parameters around it. Write your own damn letter. You can appoint them as your, you know, it's a law office basically to lien entities for you. That way you don't get in the predicament you're in. We need to start utilizing the things that they're set up there for a reason.
And
Last but not least, there is 3 forms that are actually the GSA bonds, but in the IRS. And they do not have the nasty repercussions, from what I can tell. But the first one's kind of daunting. It's big, but there's lots of boxes. If you notice if anyone has like a money market account or anything like that, or you'll notice on financial instruments or sometimes court documents, you'll see down in the corners and on the top too, like these little, looks like almost like a little, you know, 2 little lines that are corner, like a little cross or, you know, something like that. Kind of looks like something got cut off. It's because what they're doing is they're taking pieces of this 1118 form out of the boxes and making one form of it. Because 1118 is a general ledgering sheet. $1117 is the income surety bond, a lien that you can place against that ledgering sheet, which lists all their assets. Those managers are bond. The 1116 is the premium tax credit that you can collect ahead of time. That basically you're passing on the debt to the IRS and the IRS will go after them for you. But again, read the instructions. Don't just take what I say or anybody else's word for it, ever.
Ever.
Because there's so many people out here that's just, yeah. And I've been wrong more times than I can count. We really need to get over we make mistakes, get over it. Just say, yeah, I was wrong. Please, peeps. It'd be so much easier. The ego thing is getting too much. I just look at it this way. The more people that we pass this on to, and the more people we have, heading in a general direction, the same direction. Doesn't have to be on the same path, because there's 1,000 ways to do this. But, the more success we're going to have, because it goes from, gravel going down the top of a hill in all different directions to one big freaking boulder that now they have to slow that down. I'd rather use the boulder.
Heck yeah. Oh my gosh. This is fantastic information.
Oh, one last here. These are assessment forms. W-4 is not an assessment form. It's for, employment, not to assess. There's actually assessment forms. Look at the forms. I have this really, really so complicated trick of how I figured out a lot of this. I went into irs.com or .gov, excuse me. And there's a .com, by the way, and .org. Go look at .org. That's interesting. But I hit the forms button or the forms tab. And then when it brought me to that page, underneath the first search box for the forms, go under that. There's going to be a button that says list all forms. Click that. That's going to bring you to the list of all the forms. I did this really weird thing and I printed off every page of that list so I could go through it. It's a lot easier that way. Sometimes staring at the computer, it just doesn't click. Mm-hmm. That's my super ingenious, oh so complicated way of figuring out a lot of this. So,
you're my kind of girl, man.
And these assessment forms, unless you know who you are and that you are not that person and that you employ the public and you understand what this form says, do not file it. Warning. Because, this also has to, this part comes with something that a lot of people don't like, which has to be in that notice of appearance too. It's kind of an apology and a thank you and a help me please, which are 3 things that people don't like to do. Which are not easy. You have to swallow your pride sometimes, and just to get shit done. So these ones are for self-assessment. It's a public employer or employer of the public self-assessment. And there are, I think there's 7 of them. Okay, so 14581. There's an A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Okay. A is for fringe benefits, compliance, self-assessment for public employers. B is international issues, compliance, self-assessment for public employers. C is Medicaid, Medicare coverage, compliance, self-assessment for state and local government employers. D, other tax issues, compliance, self-assessment for public employers. E, retirement plan coverage, compliance, self-assessment for state and local government entities. F is Social Security coverage, compliance, self-assessment for state and local government entities. And G is employee or independent contractor compliance, self-assessment for public employers. We employ the public. They're public servants. These forms, if you are able to, I would basically just write a letter, include the form, tell the IRS that you haven't been doing a very good job of running your business. And you're not in compliance. You need some help. Can you help them do an assessment or an audit for you being a public employer? They'll audit everyone.
Oh,
There's also, and I promise I'll stop after this. The
this is amazing.
program. What is it?
That's a lot, huh, Kayla?
This is
Yeah,
like
no.
an answer to my prayer. I'm so thankful. Wow.
I'm just glad I could help.
Thank you so much. What was the
welcome.
next one?
I get it.
Girl, I love it. Oh my God.
This is the VCP program. So this is 14568. Now, you know how they tell us that we're in jail or prison voluntarily?
Exactly.
Yeah. And yeah, that look, I know that one. It's because they have us in the voluntary correction program, VCP. That's why it's called a correctional institution.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? We can sign them up for it too.
Hell yeah.
Because all these forms are not just for, as much as they want you to think it, just for government. They're not just for CPAs. They're holding us to a standard, right?
Yeah.
Ignorance of the law is of no excuse. Well, guess what? It's not. Ignorance of the instructions of the forms that they're filing are of no excuse either.
Right.
And if you're going by a, the Masons 3-strike rule, because I was told that, mistakes are not really allowed. I was like, well, then how does anybody learn? Then I was told that, right. I was told that the first mistake is forgivable. The second mistake is learnable or teachable. The third mistake is unforgivable and a character flaw. Well, they're on their third. And they done messed it up again. 3 strikes, you're out.
My God says I'm forgiven 70 times 7. So
Yeah, but I mean, if they're going to hold us to our standards, then they better be holding themselves to those standards.
yeah,
too.
that's what I'm saying. They can't give me the 3-strike rule.
This one I was actually told, and this is for your little ones. I was told to look at the Book of Ruth for that.
Okay.
As far as establishing that. And there's also a 14497. That is a notice of non-judicial sale of property.
Oh. Oh man.
You can notify them that you're taking back their birth certificates.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Also a 14467. Statement on abandoned entities. No longer abandoned. The ones that go with that, okay, there's a certification. It's the application for certification. First one is application for consent to sale, free of federal tax lien. Okay, then there's a certification of sale free of federal tax lien. Hold on.
Yeah.
I lost that one really quick. There's also one for the estate. And let's see here. Oh, and a fast track settlement, application for fast track settlement, 14017. That one is actually literally, we found a lawyer using it, trying to bill one of my friends overseas.
What?
Well, the IRS is international.
Jesus. Well, it makes sense since they reach across the pond for Americans for taxes.
Well, and I've helped 4 different people from different countries actually convert what their, their identification number back into a social. So it's all just, messing with the numbers. Sometimes you got to play with it a bit, but this one is so certificate. This is an application for certificate of discharge of property from federal tax lien. It's 14135. I'm going to hit you with a whole bunch right now, so get ready. And you got a return prepare complaint. 14157. And the 14157-A is a tax return prepare fraud or misconduct affidavit. They get sent with that.
Awesome.
Now this one, let's see here, 14242, report suspected abusive tax promotions or preparers. And the application for consent of sale of property free of federal tax lien, that one is 14498.
So they must have done this document. Consent of sale of property.
I don't think they can't really move it around like that because they're acting as a guardian, which is still appointed. So it's one of the things that they label us as in custody court and all that shit is custodians. We're not custodians. We are technically, the natural guardians, and careful with that natural word though. Mother, father. One way you can really back them into a corner is if you do a notice of appearance, or if you do any kind of notice, take their case law and use it to agree with them. When you have a meeting of the minds on paper, and then at the end of that, you write, "Thank you for your cooperation." Now it's a cooperative trust. If they break it, they're in breach. Because you're agreeing with what they're saying. You're not causing controversy. Pierce versus Society of Sisters is a really good one for custody. Yoder versus, I'm trying to remember. That's another good one. You can look that up. And you just find their case law, agree with them.
Okay, I was always told that you couldn't use, I was taught, because I heard somebody say you can't use their case law because it's just like it sets a
If you
standard.
put it in their words, like you kind of paraphrase their words, right?
Right.
So for instance, Pierce versus Society of Sisters, right? It says in there that it's the mother and father's obligation to raise their children to be productive members of society. Now, when you cite the case, put that in brackets, the square ones. Don't put any of the other identifying numbers. Just put, Pierce versus Society of Sisters and the date. Close the bracket. So therefore, it's on the paper, but not on the paper.
I always use brackets. Okay.
You cite it, but you're not, So you're just agreeing with them. You're not using it as reinforcement or as, law. Okay. What you're using it as is to come to a meeting of the minds on paper so that you're not coming in as, belligerent. Because as soon as we go in there, screaming, yelling, this is mine, all that kind of shit, what they do is they classify us as a belligerent, spoiled child, and now we're back to square one. You have to try to keep yourself in as neutral of a position as possible. And if the judge does, and they've done this quite a bit on me, if the judge does go, boom, remind them of their canons that is not, behavior that is suitable for a judge. They'll knock it off pretty quick because you can literally remove them. You do have to be careful though. Like people go into the courts and a lot of times they're not watching what they're saying. We got to realize that our words are very much more powerful than we know. Our acts are even more so. So you can put that individual in a very precarious situation. And a lot of these people, they started off doing this stuff. Most people get into public service to serve the public, to try to make a difference. A lot of them get stuck. I know in the legislature and Senate, they'll use blackmail on new ones. As soon as they get there, they'll give them like an insider tip or a trading tip or, get them involved in something. And now they're, now they got them. They're stuck now. So they have to do what they're told. But I've also been in many situations where when you give them a chance, an opportunity to do the right thing or to do what they got there, what they went into that job to do in the first place, they're going to take it in a heartbeat and help you. But it's all about how you act. Because I know there was one situation with me where, the judge was she was trying to do as much as she possibly could, like leading me along, being like, wrong way, right? Don't go that way. And like, she'd get the bailiffs behind me. And I'm like, okay, wrong way, turn. And she was very much like, kind of guiding me. But I was able to actually see that she was trying to tell me something. Because a lot of times we get so angry and our emotions get in the way. And it's really hard when you're dealing with our kids. It's just almost impossible sometimes. But if you try to just remove yourself and, I hate saying it like this, but it's just business. That's how they're having to look at it to get through the day. If we try to look at it the same way, they're going to be able to help us a little bit more because we're going to be a little bit more rational and able to actually notice it. Are they all like that? Hell no. There's some evil sons of, but those ones you can normally tell, right off the bat, when somebody's going to be like that. I always can tell by the, if the cop's walking up, I'm like, oh, great. But I always tell them first thing out of my mouth is no contract, no joinder. Here's my fee schedule. And may I have a card?
Yeah, that's good.
So
Good.
But I also have an EIN for, other persons that I can give them. So it's not my person.
Yeah.
So I was looking into that. And I would definitely consider adopting your person and divorcing the government.
Man.
Family court is very strong because it operates in ecclesiastical law and it's private. This is where a lot of people are, stuff that used to work, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, doesn't work anymore. There's a reason.
Well, I have a question. So when I went into court, like the family court, it was just a teleconference, but I had her addressing me as living woman and my husband as living man. And, we said, as soon as when they said Mrs. and Mr., we said, we don't accept titles today. And she, at the very end,
in bad standing because the living don't belong in there.
Well, okay. I couldn't, the clerk had blocked me on like trying to get the docket, all the court documents, everything. And so, we attended the meeting and we asked them, like, we only asked questions. We never ever made statements except for the fact that, we're living man or woman. And then, we had, asked, where their delegation of authority is to take what we create for pecuniary gain. And we asked them why they were violating a holy covenant with God.
Oh,
and when we asked them that, the whole room gasped. And that was when the meeting was shut off.
Yeah, I bet. Another thing, if you're dealing with a lawyer or judge, first thing that you, especially if you know it's going to be confrontational.
Yeah.
First thing out of your mouth is you're going to want to accept their oath to the Bar Association and the bar's oath to the Constitution, both federal and state, and bind them to it. Because their oath to the bar supersedes their oath to the Constitution. But the Bar Association took oaths to the constitutions in order for them to exist here. So bind them to the oath to the bar and the bar's oath to the Constitution, both federal and state, and bind them to it.
Okay. I had said once, I accept your oath of office and I bind you to it, but I didn't say I accept your oath to the bar's oath. That's good.
Because that's the oath that they're going by. Because I know you've probably been in a situation where, you know, they say the Constitution doesn't apply here.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because it doesn't.
Yeah, I've never used the Constitution in the courtroom because I knew already that.
There's a reason for, there's a few reasons for that. Number one, we weren't signatories to that document.
Yeah, exactly.
So unless you're going to adopt it, and I actually would adopt the Articles of Association, Articles of Federation, and Articles of Incorporation, and the Bill of Rights over the Constitution myself, because that's how they're operating. Because the Articles of Association, that's like the number one, that's like the big piece of the First Amendment that they rely on. If you look at all these people, all these entities on the backside or on the private side, they're all associations. They're associating because you have the right to choose who you associate or not associate with. It's like you have the right to choose who you confederate or contract with or not contract with. But because we weren't signatories to that, we have to adopt it if we're going to use it, just like they adopt all the laws a year later, because then it's abandoned. So they adopted a year later because then they bring it into the private. There was a switch just before, COVID hit. There was a lot of people that were getting custody cases particularly thrown out because of a court case, Bond versus United States. It was decided in 2019, but it was started in 2014. It's from Pennsylvania. The woman was. She got charged. She put some kind of chemical on a door handle or something because she caught her boyfriend or husband cheating, and it caused someone a rash. And they got a rash, but the chemical was on the chemical warfare list. So they actually charged her with violating the chemical warfare treaty. The state did. They gave her 30 years. Went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court came back and said that the states do not have the sovereignty right or authority to enforce treaty power. That comes into huge conflict, especially with child support and custody, because the UCCJEA and the USFA, right? That's the Uniform Child Custody and Jurisdiction Enforcement Act, and the Uniform Interstate Family Support Act. Those are actually enforced by the Hague Convention, which is international treaty law. To get around that, because I was getting a whole bunch of cases thrown out via the 10th Amendment, they actually went ahead and contracted the states, counties, and municipalities on the private side with the Hague under look for Organization of American States, OAS.org. If you guys want information, don't go to .coms, don't go to .govs. Well, some .govs. IRS is a good one, but a lot of them, .orgs. Woo, buddy, they just let it all hang out. There are all the treaties and everything there. The stakeholders are on there for this, this continent. They made private multilateral treaties with the Hague. They're actually enforcing private international law because the counties start off as ecclesiastical. They're the insurgents. Parishes, that's what they were called. Still are in Louisiana. Under the parishes, wards, that's a municipality. Because that's the private side. Just like there was a stewardship, township, right? Parish, ward. That's how it goes. And who's in charge on that side is the vicar general and the archbishop of the diocese for that state. 2 other entities you need to notify.
I did. I noticed the Vicar General 3 times of Arkansas. His name is John Connolly. He's in Springdale, Arkansas. I noticed him, and I even sent 2 notices to the Pope. People thought I was out of my mind.
The bishop of the diocese.
Okay.
And you have to do it private.
Okay. I registered mail.
To do private, you need to have confidential on there, so nobody else opens it. Return receipt signed, all that.
Okay.
And face to face. If you make a private appointment, a lot of times that has more impact. They can't admit anything on paper, hon.
Okay.
But if you ask them, face to face,
Okay.
a lot of times you're gonna get a lot more. I have one friend that actually he went to confession and got control of his estate. Only in one state though. When he moved out of that, it kind of, reverted back. But yeah, he did it through confession.
Wow.
So, like I said, there's multiple ways to do
Chills.
this. Okay. But if you're gonna go after, child support, or basically, what is it called there?
DHS, Department of Health and Human Services.
I love how that is. It's DHS here too. Isn't that like the same as the DHS, Department of Homeland Security?
Yeah, I've noticed them a bunch.
Yeah, acronyms, gotta love it. So
sometimes I want to go to the wall and just like bang my head on it.
I know, yeah. I get fun. You're like, whenever you think that you're not going to be surprised anymore, they pull another one. You're like, what? Like I had T-Mobile kickback a payment that I did on using FedWire and my social as an account. They couldn't do it with via the banks. They actually filed an FTC report, claimed that their child's personal information had been divulged without that parent company's permission. Because if you look at how coding is, like, Python, JSON, like computer programming, they use parent file and child file.
Wow.
So they've even integrated it into the software. No shit.
That's insane.
So everything predicates back to the family. So it's claiming the birth certificates, but file it as a deed. Get a parcel number. You can get my number from Floyd. I have another option for you too, privately. But
I called you this morning.
Oh, I'm sorry. My phone is.
That's okay.
It's
all right. I'll call you again.
Connectivity issues. Like I said, I got into a fight with T-Mobile. So, trying to prove.
You're awesome. I just want to say thank you so much. And I've met very few women with knowledge, and I'm like, you blow me away. Your mind is so beautiful, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I
want to be like you.
Oh, I don't know about that, honey. All I've been doing is going around and talking to everyone and finding out what worked and what didn't, and trying to put it all together. I mean, if we do that more often, we go so much faster.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay, this is live on YouTube. I can either leave it up or I can take it down, edit it, leave this part out, and leave the first part on before you jumped on, Hasada. And I'm going to leave that up to you because this is your information. It's your choice.
Get it out there.
You're awesome. Oh my gosh.
Wow. Okay,
This is
thank
like
you.
so powerful. It's just, oh,
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
unbelievable.
I just want everybody just read first. Don't
Right.
listen to anything. You read it for yourself. And if something doesn't feel right, don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, listen to that little voice in your head because, yeah, that's helped me out more than anything.
Wow. Awesome. Beautiful. Kayla, I told you just my days, they get more divine as I go through the day. By the end of the night, my mind's totally blown. And I wake up and I do it all over again. And
This is
incredible.
gold. Yeah, this is just, oh my God.
I know,
I,
right?
I thank all of you so much. Like, I have so much remedy right before me that just, wow.
And what's so crazy is, looking from the outside in at everything you've done, you seem to be bulletproof. And,
Well,
just going on.
obviously, there's way more I could try.
Yeah, well, yeah. They
You just blew me
they'll have
away.
no furry like a
Yeah,
woman's
they're all operating on the
scorn.
private side. That's why there's no
Yeah.
accountability over there. You have to drag their ass into the public for accountability. So,
All right, awesome. Well, let's close this out, girls. It's a little after midnight.
thank
Oh
you.
my God.
Yes.
Wow. I even
I
realized
know.
what time it was.
I know. It's hey, got to roll, man. It's that's the way it is. Again, thank you, girls. Thank you, John John Vincent for coming on. He passed a little while ago. Dasa,
Yeah.
thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate you reaching out and helping Kayla and her family.
My pleasure.
You just missed her husband. He was on right before you came on. He had called from jail, so we got to talk to him and give him some encouragement. And this is just a great thing. And Kayla, you said a prayer yesterday at the closing of the last show, and you've entered my life, and I want to thank you for being such a beautiful angel. And I hope this relationship lasts forever, and that I become a part of your family, you become a part of mine. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. I definitely
You're
want
more than
that.
welcome. Yeah, you're like awesome. You have the education I want my daughter to have, but my daughter's at SMU getting her PhD in psychology, so I'm not mad.
Yeah. I
So, yeah.
appreciate you guys so much.
Yes, thank you very much.
I don't have people, so y'all are my homies.
Hey, got a family now. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. I told you. All right. Thank you, girls. We're going to close this out. Everything's in the description below. Kayla's Telegram, Kayla's YouTube link, Kayla's website link. If you need to reach her, email me at TheFearlessFloydShow@yahoo.com. My website, TheFearlessFloydShow.com. Come join us on Telegram. We also have the new Telegram for all the heroines in the world. Stop Human Trafficking. Go join that channel on Telegram. Stop Human Trafficking. It's very simple. I can't believe it was still open. It is. I have it. I gave it to the world. These girls are going to run it for us, and we're going to go get everybody's property. That's about all, right? Go get our property back, whatever that looks like. So, man, awesome show. Thank you for being here, and we're going to do this again.
Thank you. Have a good night,
Yes.
guys.
Thank you, everybody. Like, subscribe, and share. Hit the notification bell. Leave a comment below.